Welcome to Actually Aubrey, and today we've got special guest Damita Joe, Miss Damita Joe, and we're going to be talking about Ready to Love DC, the reunion part two. Let's welcome Miss Damita Joe into the live stream.
Hi, Aubrey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. You sound good.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming up. I really appreciate it. I've watched I want to just tell the viewers out there, I've been watching your channel for a while. I really feel like I've almost been just kind of like YouTube stalking you from your workout videos and your blogs. You have a really great channel. So tell our viewers where they can find you at on YouTube.
Okay, so first I want to say that is a great compliment because as a person who, like, as a newer YouTuber, it's like awesome that somebody would actually watch your content. So I enjoy your content as well. But you can find me on my page at Miss Damita Joe, and my channel's focus is basically I'm a woman over 40. I'm trying to get back into shape by eating a little healthier, and I also like to talk, so I did start doing reviews. So that's where you can find me, and my Instagram is in my title, by Damita Joe.
Right, right. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I just love it. I love your channel. Like I said, it's been helping motivate me for this new year of 2022 to just, be healthier, do a do a little more to just stay healthy and really try to stay on track because, also a woman over 40 and even 50, we just have to
You
do a little bit more.
are you? But you're right. And I broke my ankle about 3 years ago, so that was an
Oh, wow.
experience too. Because as an older person, falling and trying to heal something, you gotta, try a little bit harder. So, yeah.
Right, right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So I just wanted to say before we get started today, I wanted to acknowledge that today, January the 23rd, would have been my mom's birthday. And I wanted to give a shout out to her, a little heavenly birthday. Truly love her, love the family that she created with my father, along with my father. Love her, the kind of grandmother that she was to my children, and just a beautiful lady. Those that know her, they'll know her as Mama Z or RZ, from Glad Tidings Church of God in Christ in Detroit. Um, those people that know her, I'm sure they think of her often because she was just that loving person that you could talk to her about anything and she would listen and she would be empathetic, and she would give you just really good godly wisdom and advice, and she would not judge you as a believer. She wouldn't judge you, but she would just simply ask questions and just try to see that if maybe she could offer some kind of encouragement that you could maybe pull it back together. You know what I'm saying?
She sounds like an
So
awesome lady.
oh, thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out on a brighter note. I also want to give a shout out to Kamisha Reviews over at Kamisha Review YouTube blogger that really helps support the channel, and I think you also are one of the queens of Kamisha's Review, right?
Yep, we have a little support group going over there. Kamisha is great.
She is actually awesome. She is really, really, really awesome. So, okay, so we're going to get right into it. What did you think about this reunion? What did you think about Ready to Love?
Okay, so first, I just want to say I do not like how the format of the reunion went because
Okay.
I feel like some of the people who were there for a short time probably didn't need to be there the whole time.
Right, right. We got a lot of lip and a lot of words about what was going on with them, and I'm thinking, well, they were only here for like 2 minutes.
hmm
Can you
Um,
can you who comes to mind when you think about that? Who comes to mind? Uh,
Harrington,
yeah, right, right.
Lamont, we didn't really hear anything from him.
We
I
you
thought we
know
would
we
got a poem or something.
A poem. That's what got him kicked off. You know he wasn't giving no poems, girl. That's what got him kicked off in the first place. Um, what about Tasia? What did you think about Tasia? Because I like Tasia wanted it to be the Tasia show.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out why she even brought up the whole thing about Corey, because if you hid me all this time, keep on keeping it a secret.
Exactly, exactly. I didn't get that either. I mean, I think Tasia, I've been saying since the beginning of the season, of DC season. I thought, I think she's a beautiful girl physically, just her features, her facial features and whatnot, her smile, everything. She's just really a pretty young lady. But what I didn't like about her from the very beginning was she was always leading with, my career, I do this, I do this. I think in the dating world, I don't think that's like really the thing to lead with. Do you?
I don't, because I don't know, maybe it's just me. Sometimes I have to stop and think, when I think things are crazy, I'm like, okay, well, girl, maybe that's just you. But like, men don't really care about our jobs per se. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they care if they're gonna be with us, they want to know what we do, but
Right.
I don't have to run down my resume to him because he's not looking at me for that. So I
Right.
think so, from our previous conversation that we had, like I like to look at these interviews. And so I caught an interview of hers, and it seems like she
Hmm.
really wanted to be seen growing up. So that is
Oh, I didn't see that. Wait a minute. Tell the viewers what YouTuber or what did you see? Or
well,
was
I,
it an
I believe
IG
I
live
saw
or
her.
what?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry. I was saying, is it was Tasia on was she on IG live or was she on YouTube? Tell us where you saw this.
So I saw an interview with her on Little Black Book, and because he has like all the interviews with the cast when they leave, and so I was able to see a little bit of her interview from there. And she was also on an IG live talking about it too, but she talks about her childhood a little bit, you know what I mean, and how everything was when she was growing up, and her struggle or whatever, and how she got the grit that she has. And so one of the things she also pointed out too is that she moved from Chicago and she came here to DC, and she wasn't making a lot. She was making like 40 in the $40,000 range.
Hmm.
And that was like 5-6 years ago. So I mean, it's not a lot now anyway, but she kind of struggled, you know what I mean? And she has a degree and everything. She struggled, and then she was able to get a job and start a company and get on her feet and stuff like that. But she did have a little portion in there where it's like, she wasn't seen when she was growing up. So now it kind of makes sense of you have to acknowledge me. You have to know what I'm doing, you know what I mean?
Oh, what now? Was she? Why would did she say why she wasn't seeing? And I want to just say real quick. Hey, Tyrone is one of our viewers. Hey there, how you doing down there in warm Florida? While I'm just got like snow on the ground here in
I
Michigan.
know, I'm jealous. That's how long.
Did she say did Sia say like whether why as a child was she from a large family? What was going on?
So
What
she did go into it, but I don't want to recount it because I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
I'm gonna mess it up.
Oh,
Because
okay. Yeah, yeah.
there
We
was
just
a part
touch
where
on
she
it.
was, talking about something happened around the time when it was like that age where you care about how you look, you care about the name brands, you care about being accepted. It was something surrounding that. But I wouldn't be fair to
Oh, right, right.
say it because I don't want to mess it up. But that interview on Little Black Book was really good.
Okay, okay. Well, then I'll because like I said, I think it's great to give a shout out. Little Black Book Kojo has a channel called Little Black Book 91. If you haven't seen it, you're missing a lot.
You are
So
missing out.
give a shout out to him, and I'll have to go back and check that out because I didn't. It was so many people coming on this last week on the various interviews. I saw some of the interviews. I saw a little bit of Walter's interview. I saw who did I see? I saw a little bit of Sydney. I saw a few people, but I'm really waiting to see who Phil's going to interview with. The interview I really want to see, to be honest, mostly is Phil, and I want to see also Shiloh. But a Shiloh, of course, she was missing from the whole reunion. What do you
And I
think
don't
about?
think that she's gonna interview with anybody, to be
Hmm.
honest. I think
Hmm.
that there's a bunch of rumors swirling about what's going on with her. Nobody really the only thing that I was able to see with my own or hear with my own ears and see with my own face, I guess, was her actually just saying that she was asked not to show up. So
Oh, okay,
but I
okay.
don't know why. I don't know. Like I said, it's a bunch of rumors going around, but nobody has an interview with her. Somebody I thought had an interview scheduled with Phil, but I couldn't find it. Maybe it was postponed or something. But I really want to hear from him too.
Yeah, that's really who I want to hear from. I want to hear from Phil because I enjoyed him throughout the season. I wanted to just see, what he is going to touch on, what he's going to say during the interview, and what things maybe he may leave off, with the whole Shiloh incident. I just really want to see. And then I also, I guess, kind of in the back of my mind too, I wanted to see if when Phil does his interview, which he doesn't have to do this, of course, it's just a thought in my mind, if um Sydney, if Sydney will be there, if they'll do an interview together eventually, because I noticed on her IG lives, he's usually in the background. You'll
Mm-hmm.
hear him, or she'll turn the camera on him at some point toward the end, and he'll say hello. And I just think they're cute. I really do.
I do too.
I think they're really cute. Well, so on the reunion, I noticed that Zadia was claiming Naim, and Naim was claiming Zadia to the host Tanika Ray. And
Did you
Zadia,
think that was forced?
it seemed like it. Yes, I'm glad you said that and not me. Yeah,
Because I watched it back and I
it
was
seemed like
like,
it. Hmm.
it seemed like her and Tanika might have almost had a moment there too, where Tanika was like, "Okay, you picked him. She's with Dante's with Aisha. Congratulations! Like, shut up."
Girl, yeah. Well, you know what? It was Zadia's tone. Once again, I think that, it seems to me like just during the whole reunion, so part one and part two, it seems to me that from my observation that Zadia probably talked to someone that was in PR, a PR specialist or something,
Mm.
and she wanted to redeem her image, and as well as I believe Camille too. And so a lot of people were saying, well, why is Zadia smiling, even though people are talking kind of poorly about her reputation, her behavior? And I thought that was, like you said, I thought it was forced. I thought it was kind of a PR trick to kind of basically revamp her image, because a lot of these people, I don't think they think about the fact that everybody wants to get the clout. They want to get more followers on IG and become an IG, star, if you will, a reality show star. But what they don't think about is that if your behavior is a certain way and is perceived poorly by the public, instead of becoming a star, you'll really become, instead of famous, you'll become infamous, which is totally different, right?
Oh yeah. That's weird to me though, because it's like, I don't know, as a regular person that, like, I go to work every day and all of that. If I was gonna be on TV, the main thing at the forefront of my mind would be everybody's gonna see everything that I do.
Right. Hey,
So
hey,
it's baffling.
yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Kamisha.
we got family in the house. Hey, Kamisha, how you doing? I was just shouting out your channel that if they don't know, they better ask somebody. Kamisha Reviews is on fire. Yes. So hey, good to see you, and thank you for supporting us and sharing out the video. We really appreciate that so much.
She
Hey,
rock.
let me give you a hand, Kamisha. I'm so corny with this, but I just love it. The little sound
No, that was
effect.
cute. And Kamisha probably like, oh.
Yeah, but back to what we were saying about Zadia. Yeah, so I did think it was forced. I also think that that's not a real relationship. I said this before. I think that she's with him, and as soon as this 15 minutes of fame kind of boils over, I think that she's gonna dump him like a hot potato. What do you think?
So I got mixed feelings because,
Okay,
like,
okay.
I
Speak
think
on
that
it.
they deserve each other, because just like she jumped in conversations at the retreat and nobody was talking to her, Naeem seems to have a history of like arguing with the women and nobody's talking to him. You know what I mean? And so, but they do look like they have some chemistry. I be watching them on Instagram and stuff. They look like they got some chemistry, but I just want homegirl to
Okay,
I want her
okay.
to realize that she was sitting there looking like she was, on punishment, and he was like, "You better not do nothing." He was looking straight, like I was telling you, like a soldier in front of Buckingham Palace. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't jovial. She was even
No.
trying to convince everybody, like, oh, well, I realized I didn't need somebody that was fun. I needed somebody that was going to be there for me, and I got to pull the fun out of him. And Naya's actually fun. Like, are you talking to us, or are you trying to convince yourself? Because it looked like he smelled a fart or something when he was sitting there.
Not
I
a
was
fart,
just
girl. Not
like,
a fart.
it did not look
Oh
like it
my
was fun
goodness.
for her. I was just like, he looks like they were looking at Aisha and Dante staring at each other. You could feel their energy off of that couch, right? And then you go
Yes.
over to the couch with Camille and Zadia and Cornelius and Naim, and it was just like icicles over there.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was odd too. Like, I don't understand because maybe I'm not a really jealous person. I'm always happy if somebody's happy. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you like it, I love it. Okay. And my thing is that, like you said, maybe there is some real chemistry because actually before all of this, went down the way it did and took a turn for the worse, right? I liked Zadia and Naim, and I thought that, that he could maybe pull some things out in her, but he seems to be going more her way, that bad behavior and excusing bad behavior, which I don't think that's the thing to do, but that's just me.
Okay, so it's okay to shout out other YouTubers on your channel.
Oh, sure, sure, go
Okay,
right
so
ahead.
I have to talk about Courtney and Eddie because I watched their videos and they did a video about the whole thing and they put clown faces. Well, they said that they're the two simps of Ready to Love, and it was Cornelius and it was Naim, and they did like a little skit in the beginning. So if you have not seen that video, you need to go watch that video later today.
No, I haven't seen that. But you know what? I do watch them. I love them. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're I like the energy between them, the interaction and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's great. It's great to watch other YouTubers because you find out so much. And everybody, all of us bring a different perspective to it. So that's the thing that I think that's really good. But now let's move into Walter and his love connections. What did you think about Walter?
Okay, so I like Walter. I was rooting for Walter, but Walter is cat daddy. Walter,
I
um,
said that too. I
he
said
really
that
is.
too.
He's smooth,
He's
and
smooth.
he knows how to talk to a woman. But I think what the issue was that he ran into with Sabrina is that Sabrina was time enough for him, and she wasn't going to play the games. And so he, in his interviews, he basically just it was telling of him that he was not focused on the process. He still was messing with somebody outside of the show, like in the real world, and he was only counting the actions, the interactions that he had with Sabrina, I guess, when they were filming. He wasn't calling her, but he was talking to Shiloh. So he was waiting to be chased. And that's what I
What?
got from his interview too. He wants to be pursued.
Oh, you know what? I've been wondering about that. Wait a minute. Was he um was he actually talking to Shiloh back when she was still in the a part of the season? Were they dating?
No, well, they didn't say that, but he just said that he talked. It's been said by him and has been said by somebody else that he talks to her a lot, right? And
Okay.
he said in one of his interviews that she was calling him. So he answered every time she called. And so I got
Wow.
that. I was like, okay, there you go. You want somebody. And then he said it. He was like, what if we were both showing each other the same kind of energy? It's like, okay, as a woman, I'm going to return the energy to you, and I'm going to let you know that I'm wanting you to keep pursuing me, but I'm not going to be the one
To
coming to
lead it.
pursue you. But
Right.
I
Right.
guess that's a age thing or whatever, because like if in this instance, if you take Sabrina is in our age bracket where she wants to be pursued. She wants the man
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And then you have Shiloh who's 33, and they kind of think a little bit differently these days. You know what I mean? Some of
Oh,
them.
okay.
Some of them.
I believe it. I
But he was
believe it.
answering her phone call and he used that as his defense. Like, well, you should have been calling me. And she was right when she said, no, I shouldn't have had to call you. If you would have been calling me, you would have knew exactly where we stood.
Right. That's what I thought. I thought she answered him perfectly because, dude, if you're not calling me and checking up on me, I mean, even if you don't think that we're a love connection, but like, because I kind of got some in the beginning, I got like with the speaking on Sabrina now, Sabrina and Walter, I got some romantic vibes in the very beginning, but as time moved on, I really thought that he had a stronger connection with Mumin. But what I saw happen with Mumin during the season was that when they were at the resort, right? And she was singing the song with Walter, stay right, stay right, stay right. And then her
Mm-hmm.
moment with him was over with. And then now he was sitting at the piano still, like he said, it could have been a half an hour later, whatever. He was still there. He was playing some different music, not the Stay Right song that he did with Mumin. And Sabrina came over and sat on the bench next to him. Okay, as a woman, I'm going to respect that. We're in a whole dating show, miss. You're not. You guys are not in a relationship. You know the rules of the show is that you're basically dating all of the people that you find an interest in. And so he was clearly seeing Sabrina. So why would you walk over there? But I did see this. What Walter, in his defense or in his agreement with him, I did see that when I looked back at that scene, that Camille was in the scene and Cornelius was in the scene, and they were pushing Mumin to say something catty to Walter. So Mumin I think she's kind of very impressionable, and she's kind of naive. That's the vibe that I get from her.
Yeah. I was saying delusional, but I think naive is a better word because she is young and she's still learning. And I I keep saying this. I happened to catch an interview of hers as well. And she doesn't understand that point of view. She is still defending her going in there, but what she did add to it was that
Hmm.
she, it was some time that passed and she went into the room and she didn't know they were in there, and so she was going in there to play a song for her, for I guess she said Camille and them, or she was going to, she didn't know they were in there. When she went in
Okay.
there, she saw them in there, and that's why she turned back around, because she was like, oh, but then got coerced to go back in, right? So she was trying to, she basically in her interview, she never like laid blame on anybody. She was basically protecting everybody in Kojo's videos or whatever in his interview. He
Oh,
called
okay.
her out for it
Yeah.
too. But yeah, so she was saying that she didn't know they were in there, but then after they were in there, she was like, oh, well, okay, fine, we'll just go in there. But she didn't get that it's weird for you to come in here and try to rub my head while I'm sitting here talking to somebody else that I might be interested in. Like, she just did not get that was weird.
Right, right, right. That's what I kind of got out of it too, because to watch that whole scene over again, and I did a couple of times. Yeah, I'm kind of like, maybe there's some social awkwardness with her that she needs to work on, and I kind of get this part too. So, okay, coming from the church, having myself personally, having grown up in the church, a product of the Church of God in Christ, which is very, very strict, or it was when
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up, in terms of we couldn't wear pants, they didn't want us wearing makeup and all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and you're really kind of sheltered. So that was my family at large, was my church family. And everybody was married, the older people were married, my friends' parents were married, my parents were married. But what you kind of got was you were kind of sheltered. And so then I think that when you come out into the scene, like when I got to be like 18, 19, 20, and started going out and dating and going and getting involved with club life with different people, what you don't know is that you don't know that the world is different from the rules in the church, if you follow what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
everything is kind of perceived differently, and there are actually a lot less rules, but then there are still rules, if that makes any sense. They're unspoken rules, and you don't just go up to a man that's sitting with another woman and start stroking his, if that's not your husband. I feel like if that's not your husband, or if that's not your man, then, and you know that he's free to date, and you know that you're also free to date, I would have probably just acknowledged them and said hey or whatever, and then I would have moved on. That's what I would have
Yeah,
done.
I would have done the same thing. I think that you're right though. And I think that's what I get from her. I think she's a very sweet girl, and I think she is impressionable, and I think she has just a lot to learn because she has probably been sheltered because she actually said in one of her interviews that she was dating a guy at 16 that was 10 years older than her, and they had a long relation. Well, not 10 years older than her. I'm sorry, he was 6 years older than her.
Wow, but he was still an adult while she was
But
still a
they dated for
teenager.
10 years, but they dated for 10 years. And
Oh,
then
wow.
so but you have a point though. She is impressionable because one of the things I picked up was that she was really focused on what the men were telling her versus what she was seeing with her eyes. So she says now that she's not going to, she wants action figures. She doesn't want sweet nothings, because she was basically saying that she was trying to talk about the Frank situation, and she was like, we had these conversations, and he said this and he said that, and how could y'all know, because y'all didn't know we talked about this. And it was like, girl, we were looking at the body language from what we got to see.
Right. Everybody is looking at other things. I just want to say, hey, Misha Allen, good to see you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here and showing up, girl. I appreciate it. Yeah. I think that she, like I said, she seems to me to be very naive, but then I have to kind of wonder, like I said, so, everybody is different, but, at some point, like I said, in my late teens and in my early 20s, I started to get out a little more into the world, so to speak, as we would say in the church, worldly things, clubs, nightclubs, jazz clubs, and this type of thing. But you've got to kind of really learn to read people. And like you said, you've also got to be a judger of behavior. You can't just say because he said, well, like one of my pre-law professors used to say, like, what you say is not worth the paper it's not written on. So, words are often empty. Okay. Oh yeah. Hey, Ramel, how you doing? Um, but yeah. So I don't know. I think that she really needs to kind of maybe take some time and maybe work with a dating coach. Maybe something like that. And also, was it you that was telling me that there was some emptiness in her life as she was growing up with her father being
Yes.
out of the country and traveling so much for work?
Yeah,
I
apparently he worked a far away for a while, and she didn't have him at that time. I guess that was the same time she was dating that guy.
Okay, right. See, that's what I was kind of trying to understand. So, like, my parents would have never let me dated anybody if I was 16 and a guy is 5, 6, 7. He's clearly an adult. I'm in high school and he's in college or beyond college, is already graduated, has a career, and
But
like
see, she didn't even have the wherewithal to realize that wasn't something she probably should have even said. Like
oh,
she basically told us that she was messing with a dude that was an adult or older than her. If he was 5 or 6 years older than her, and she's 16,
mhm.
you know. So
Right. Yeah,
she is.
I think she could use a little help in the dating field because, and then the thing of it also really too in choosing her friends, because did you notice this season that like she kind of went along with all the guys? If a guy picked her and wanted to go on a date with her, like I always think back and I'm just so hurt for her and embarrassed that scene with Corey at the very beginning of the season when he hopped on the log behind her to dry
Mm.
hump her and she went along with that. I was like,
Mm.
girl.
Because see, okay, she has that personality that wants to make people feel comfortable even when they're wrong.
People pleaser, yes, a
And
people
that's why she
pleaser.
won't call anybody out her interviews. She's not going to say. And if Courtney wouldn't have said that she didn't feel whatever Corey was doing, we get to that later or whatever. But then when he was crying, if Courtney wouldn't have spoke up and been like, nope, I don't feel any different, I don't think that Mumin would have said anything either. I think she would have just been like, oh, he's for real. Okay, let me just be quiet.
Oh, okay, right. And Misha says, period. She says it don't matter what he said. She says, where's Mumin's discernment? And that's a good question. I think when we're dating as women, we always have to have some kind of discernment. And I think we should really have someone, a wiser older woman, an auntie. And I mean, and when I say auntie, it doesn't have to be a literal blood auntie, but a woman that you trust, not one that's going to be jealous or a naysayer and everybody you date and meet they think that that's a terrible person, but somebody that will you can bounce things off of, and then also a guy, a man friend that is not trying to date you. Maybe if you have a brother or a cousin that's a male cousin that's an adult, talk to them. Have some people that you can bounce things off of. You do not have to sit back and let these guys treat you like mud, because I think there's so many rules that my mom taught me and so many things that my mom taught me to look for in men. And one of them, like my mother used to say this, don't never let no man talk up under your clothes. And I was like, what, Ma? What does that mean? Like, I'm really young when she's telling me a lot of these things. And what she meant by that basically was, when a guy is like all about your body, when he's just meeting you and he's talking oh, your booty looking real fat today, baby, and them titties or whatever, no, you can't talk. No, really, to this day,
Right.
and like I
But
said,
it's what you allow. It's what you allow. You're
it's
right.
what you allow. Right. I'm not having that. I am not having that. I am not having that at all.
That's a respect factor too.
It's
And
a respect factor. Exactly.
like I just think she has a lot of. I think she's a sweet girl though. I just think
I
that
do.
I
I
just
do
kept saying
too.
the whole time like, oh sis, I'm gonna need you to stop listening to what these dudes are telling you. Of course they're gonna tell you what they want you to hear.
Right, right. Hi there. Hi, Miss. Oh, I need my glasses. Hi, Miss Real. Hi, Miss Real Rose. Hey, how you doing? She's saying hi to us. So, hey, how you doing? I think so. I think you're right. She needs discernment, and I think it's so funny because guys like Corey. I don't know what do you think that crying was about on stage? Let's kind of move over to that. What do you think that crying was about? Was he just putting on an act? Because that's what I got out of it. That
So
he was like an actor, like he's trying to be on TV for real, for real.
I'll be honest with you. Like I went to high school with Corey, and
What? Girl, wait
yeah,
a minute! Oh, you didn't just tell me this tea before the show. Go ahead. I'm zipping my mouth. I want to hear all the juicy stuff. Go
well, I don't. Like
ahead.
after high school, I don't have many memories of him. But in high school, I remember him. But I don't. Corey is not a threat. Everybody was saying he was like a, that was a little pervish for him to jump on that log or whatever. But and I feel so crazy about to say this. Oh, okay. He
What?
is
What?
a nice guy. I do think he's misunderstood, but I don't believe that. Like I think that those tears were real,
Mm-hmm.
but it maybe just we just didn't see everything they talked about in that scene or
I
whatever. But it
guess.
was harmless.
You think some things were edited? Let me just say this real quick, guys. I see the chat is starting to really jump. Would you guys do me a favor and like the video while you're here? Do me a favor, like the video. Throw something in the chat. Let me know you're there, because I don't know if you don't say anything. I don't know you're here. But show some love and support for wonderful Miss Damita Joe is here today, my special guest. Show a little love. Throw
Shout out
a
to the
yellow
chat.
heart up. So but okay, but you were saying you think that there was something maybe edited out, but like
Right,
what?
because he looked like he cried on cue, right? And then they obviously he cried on the same part that they were talking about when they played it back. But I do believe that he was crying. But I all you, I do think he was acting on that part. He may not have been acting the first time, but I do think that he was acting on that part. And because Corey is an actor, like he wants to act. So
Okay, because does he really is what he does for a living? Do you know if and because they put it out there and they want to be they're in the public eye, so I have to ask this: is he really a physical trainer, or does he own a gym of some sort?
yes.
What's going on with him?
Yes. So okay, when he was in high school, he was like skinny, scrawny, or whatever, and
And
everything.
still, in my opinion, just me, and
But
I
he
like a slender
did,
man, but not too slender. I want something to hold on to, and he's still a little, like he's got muscle. I can see that he has muscles and he's been working out, but he's still
yeah.
a little guy for me. I like a
Yeah,
guy with a
so
little more meat.
he is really a physical trainer and he trains people and he was actually on that show, American Ninja or whatever one time. He was on there before.
Oh, okay.
He did a couple of other things too, but yeah, so like because he was, obviously he was skinny in school, he wanted to beef up. So I feel like that's why he chose that route. Plus, I think his brother is fitness minded as well. But yeah, he really is a fitness trainer, and I just think that he's a little quirky. You know what I'm saying? I felt bad for him when I was like reviewing the show because I'm like, Corey, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was, but the thing about it is it's so sad. Like I said, I felt embarrassed for Mumin that he would try that with her because see, I think sometimes in life people try things with other people that they know they feel like they can get away with it, if that makes any sense. Because I
Yeah,
think any man that knows me would have never tried that. I mean, like that's something. Okay, now I understand better had they been high schoolers, if they were teenagers. But like, okay, we all 35, and I think Corey was close to 40.
I
Like,
don't know why they put 40 on there. I'm 44, so he's 44.
Well, I had said that to few friends of mine. I said they playing with these ages now. They
Unless he
think they
skipped four
fooling people,
grades.
but okay, okay. Well, yeah, you know what? Okay, so that makes it even doubly worse. Like, why are you, sir, 44 years old, doing stuff that a 14-year-old boy, maybe a 15, not even probably by the time you get to 16 and you're a junior in high school, you're not even doing that crap no more.
No,
Like,
I think it's a boundary
like I said,
thing.
that's something. I mean, I grew up. It's a boundary thing, you think?
Yeah, it's a boundary thing. It don't matter how old you are. You know you're not supposed to be that close to somebody pelvis to pelvis or pelvis to butt. He knew
You know
better.
what? Oh, now that you yeah, because now that you mention it, he also did a move that I thought was really very telling too. That when he jumped in Courtney's space, do you remember the episode where they went roller
Mm.
skating? It was Courtney and it was
Hmm.
Camille and it was Cornelius. He got pelvis to pelvis with
Yeah, and
Courtney. And
everybody's talking about how uncomfortable she looked or whatever.
oh yeah, and she's supposedly the sexual aggressor. You know, she says she goes after the man that she wants, but I don't know. I thought this season they had a lot of women that were operating in real masculine energy, a lot of women that were talking to the men really kind of disrespectful. And I didn't really like it, to be honest. I really thought, I don't understand what these women are going for, and you can kind of see why a lot of them are having trouble dating and finding a good guy, because to me, if you're, as a woman, if you're going to be the aggressor and you're going to always be the aggressor and you're always going to be attacking, well, I shouldn't say attacking a man, but coming at a man real strong, then how do you really know that he really wants you is my question. How would you know that?
I I have the same question. I think that I kind of thought about the situation when Corey jumped on the log specifically, and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, so we are watching it on TV. So like who's on the other side of the camera? So it has to be a camera crew. It has to be like at least 5 people out there, right? So I'm
Okay.
thinking in those situations that he probably was like, I'm going to try something different than I've ever tried before. And I mean, once it's done, it's done. So he probably learned now that he's not supposed to, that he don't want to do that, especially like, since everybody was talking about how creepy he looked doing the stuff that he was doing.
Right. Okay.
But
So maybe that you think maybe that could have been possibly maybe why he was crying or embarrassed, because I don't know
don't
about Corey.
know.
I'm not so sure that
I
he's
mean, but his parents
he's
have been married for years and years and years, and he probably
mhm.
does get emotional about that or whatever. But it is kind of weird that, like your parents do have this relationship. His brother just got married. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, when are you gonna like stop playing?
Yeah. Well, I got, I said it before, and I just think some of the guys that come on the show really aren't who they appear to be, and I'm not going to go into a lot of
Hmm.
details about that, but people have watched their lives, and people have speculated about different things, but I just think that when I watch Corey, I don't see somebody that to me is really looking to date and be with a woman. That's just me. That's just me. I think I see someone that's trying to show that they are available to a woman for love, but I don't really know. My discernment, my spiritual discernment, and my feeling and my observations about the show and the season, I don't feel like that.
No,
You
I
know.
don't feel he was genuine. I don't feel he was genuine. And it's like if you are like, so he could be socially awkward, and like it's like, okay, if you are socially awkward, like at some point you just have to take people's advice of this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. But he is still out here like trying to just kind of explain how everybody's different and we're used to whatever we see on TV and we're not used to this type of guy. But it's like everybody is not the person that you're talking about. And you can't treat all of us women the same when you're trying to approach us, because Keisha's different than Tanya and Tanya's different than Lucy. You know what I mean? So
Right.
he is gonna have to stop that if he wants to be serious. But then there was so when he did cry and Tanika asked Courtney, she was
Hmm.
like, so how do you feel? Do y'all feel different? Courtney was like, no. Mamine was like, no. And then Sabrina kind of said something nice about him or whatever. And so I was proud that Courtney kept, and Mamine was like, nope, that doesn't change my mind. But then when Sabrina says something, Sabrina has a way when she talks, it makes you be like, okay, well, maybe she has a point. Like with the way she said it, you know what I'm saying? She was like,
Yeah.
Courtney is so different.
I don't know. I thought, and I like Sabrina. I really do. Like a lot of people, I like her. I think she's down to earth. I think a lot of great things about her, but I'm not so convinced. I mean, and certainly she knew him and she spent time with him, and I did not. I'm on the other side of the TV screen watching like everybody else. But I didn't. I had to disagree with her on that. I didn't. know if I believed her or not. I mean, I didn't agree with her. I'm not saying that I thought she was being dishonest. I think she's going by her best judgment and, maybe conversations.
Mhm.
But there's another component. I'm going to say this, and we're going to maybe move on from Corey. I think that Corey, I don't know what other YouTube blogger. I think it might have been Courtney and Eddie. I think. But anyway, I think that somebody else brought up an interesting point that I hadn't considered until I saw them talk about it, and I started to consider it a little differently. I think that there could be some challenges there mentally, emotionally, like he's maybe a little bit unstable. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really
I
not.
know, but I couldn't help
I
but
would
laugh
never.
because
Mhm. I would never, and I say that because from somebody that worked in the mental health field, I
I'm
just,
not laughing at that. No, no, no.
yeah,
I'm just
I'm not.
laughing at
Yeah,
Corey
well, I didn't
because
think you were, but I wanted the viewers to understand that I'm not, because I think that as a black person, I really take seriously mental health, and I don't like it when people in our culture, in our community, or even outside our community, want to stigmatize getting treatment, going to therapy, getting help. When you need help, get help. If you had a toothache, you'd go see a dentist. If you were having heart palpitations, you'd go see a doctor,
mhm,
right? So
mhm.
I just thought that maybe there was something along the lines where he's just not stable. That
You know,
that's
I never thought about that, and but that brings me back to how careful Sabrina was talking, and how Cecilia is been talking about him in good ways or whatever. But it's just like, one of the things that irritated me about this season though was that in the beginning, before anything popped off, it was like they were trying to like make this whole like kumbaya situation, like everything was perfect, and we know nobody's perfect, so it was like weird that they were trying to do that. But now that makes me wonder too, like, are y'all just the people who say nice stuff about people that they're not with,
hmm
that they did not decide to date or pursue anything with? Like, are you just saying that because you like had to sign something to say that, or like are you saying it because you really do think this about this person? It's like we live in this age of like storylines, so it's hard to decide, is this for real or is this not for real? Like, is he acting like this or is this really him? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I only knew him in high school, but I don't know him as an adult. But I'm just looking at all the stuff and I'm like, dude, like, are you serious? Like, I don't know what to think. I don't know. I don't think that he's challenged, but then again, you never know.
Right, right, right. I think you're right. I mean, we don't know. We don't really know, but to your point, I think that there was a lot of going back to something I said earlier. I think there definitely was a push to kind of clean up images on this year's season on the at the reunion, and for good reason, because you and I had a talk before before this show, is that it's really important in life. People don't understand it, but when you see people on the internet that lose their jobs because they post something to Facebook or Instagram
Mhm.
or whatever the venue is, it's a real thing that if you have a job, and unless you're an entrepreneur, and even if you're an entrepreneur, you have a thing called customers, right? So it's a real thing in the public world to have a good image, to have a good reputation. So I could see that maybe possibly part of the reason why Shiloh didn't show up was because there were going to be people there on that stage that were there that night that would have challenged some of the things that she was saying. Is my thought. That's my thought, allegedly, right?
And I would think that she wouldn't have wanted to talk about any of it. You know what I mean? Like the rumors are going around about what's going on, but I don't see how she would. Like, what would she have even talked about? Because if she told them, "Oh, I'm not going to talk about anything dealing with Phil," like, would they want to still ask her any questions?
Right,
Was
exactly.
somebody going to try to fight her? Like, I don't know what the heck was going on.
Right. Hey Monique, thanks a lot. It's okay if you're late. We be on CP time sometimes, and sometimes we don't. It's all good. You're here now, and thank you for showing up, and thank you for your support. But yeah, I don't know. I think Shiloh, yeah, it would, to me, if she had shown up, I think we all can agree that the biggest thing that they would have wanted to cover with Shiloh would have been the incident that wasn't, of course, filmed, that we know of, right? It wasn't filmed, but that she was there and he was there, so it's he said, she said at this point. But
Mhm.
I don't know, like, to me as a woman, there seems to be a lot of holes in her story, and I'm not denying her truth, but I also felt like it was a move on her part to be vindictive toward him because he never because before that, here's the thing that's my evidence. I count as my evidence, right? Before Shiloh, the incident with Shiloh and Phil during the season, Shiloh, we saw her in at least 2 episodes constantly picking with Phil to tell me how you feel. Tell me if I'm the one. I mean, she maybe
Mm-hmm.
not, I'm paraphrasing it. She didn't use those words, but she wanted to be his number one. And I think what I feel like as a woman, I see a woman that is operating in some sort of desperation because she now feels like she's not his number one because once he started seeing Sydney, all bets were off.
Yeah, and they said they were all around there like, oh, everybody was wondering who's your number one, who's your number one. They said it was really intense like that. I can imagine. I cannot imagine.
I
Mm-mm.
don't know. Do you think I don't know? Do the show's producers put the women up to that? Because again, I just as a woman dating, I'm not gonna ask you
I
if I'm
would
number
not
one.
ask.
You gonna
I,
show me. You
honestly,
gonna
I'm not
show me,
gonna
damn
ask.
it.
If I don't
You
see it,
gonna
I'm going to assume that it's just not.
hey, thank you
If a man
and
is
have a
interested in
and
you, you
have a
don't
nice
even have to
day.
care. Wonder.
Right, look, thank you and have a nice day, sir. Because you know what? While you over here fiddling, falling, and philandering around and dating other people, I've always had more than one guy that I could see. So hey, okay, you go right on ahead with that, sir.
It's
Because
not a situation for women though.
yeah,
It's just it's
it's
gonna end up
not
it's gonna start out cute. Oh, they look cute and everything, and then once these feelings start getting involved, it's just gonna turn to like this kind of situation. So, mm.
right. Okay, so I wanted to move on to let's talk a little bit about something that they kind of they did touch on at this reunion part two. What did you think about how they covered the Zadia incident with Dante and the whole nose poking and the whole, I would have chosen you. What do you think about that?
Now I don't know how much they showed to them while they were there filming all day, and if they got to see the whole thing. But I feel like they did not spend enough time on that situation
No,
because you
not at
know
all.
Naeem sitting there looking even crazier, just looking straight ahead. Dude, you hear this? You hear what they're saying? You see what she did? She literally poked dude's nose and said, "I was gonna choose you," and he's
Right.
sitting there just I wonder if he ever has a moment where he's gonna be thinking, "Oh my god, like she had me sitting up there looking crazy."
Right, because you know what? At that point, he probably hadn't seen that footage. You're right. That's a very good
Mm-hmm.
point. But everybody tried to warn him. I think nephew Tommy in the men's deliberation room in the men's lounge or whatever. Uncle Tommy, I mean Uncle nephew. Okay, Uncle nephew. I got that from Misha. Okay, Misha, you in my head, girl. But Uncle nephew Tommy, he tried to talk to him. The other men tried to talk to him. And was there something that you heard about Naeem in
Yes.
relation? Yep. Tell that. Share that
So
with the
Walter's
viewers.
interview was very interesting on Little Black Book. He basically said that there was a party that they went to. I think it was the party over Frank's house where Sydney was saying that her phone got unplugged or whatever. But
Right.
there was a portion where Zadia was coming over to the table with 3 girls over there. She was coming with the energy of I'm gonna do something. And
Oh,
so
okay.
Phil, he said Phil jumped up first, had taken her, picked Zadia up. They do a lot of picking up on the show. Picked her up and took her to another part.
Oh
And
Lord.
then there was a second incident the same night where Walter had to pick her up and take her away from the situation. And he was telling Naeem, "Hey,
Talking
come get
about
your
talking
girl."
about Zadia now. You're saying Walter picked
Zadia,
up
yes.
Zadia. Okay, go
But
ahead.
they
Go
had to
ahead.
take her away twice. So two different men had to
Wow.
pick her up and move her, but her man was the whole time sitting there arguing with the woman while this was happening. And Walter was like, "Come get your girl." And so that was telling to me too, because like, yeah, why wouldn't you take your woman away from it? Why are you standing here arguing, letting some other man pick your woman up and take her away from the situation?
Wow, that's crazy. Miss Real Rose says, "I don't trust men who insinuate themselves into women's arguments." I agree, Miss Real
That part.
Rose. Yeah, that part right there, girl. I mean, like, I can't imagine my father. When he was alive, I can't imagine him ever getting involved in my mother. She had a disagreement with one of her girlfriends or one of the ladies at the church. It would never happen. It would never happen. Most men understand the social rule that your beef belongs with other men and
Mm-hmm.
not with women because that's no
Right.
place.
What are you doing?
Right, exactly. What are you doing, sir? What are you doing? And that's
And at
why
the same time, another man has your woman in his arms, picking her up, taking her somewhere. What are you doing, sir?
I heard, okay, so allegedly, I heard getting back to Zadia now, even without Naim, I heard that she has inserted herself into several of the cast parties where she wasn't invited. Okay. And
Oh my goodness.
I find that really telling because why would you as a grown woman go to someone's home or a venue that they may be having a party for other cast members and you see that there's basically two sides to this situation. There's the people that are I call them the light, and there's the light crew. And when I by light, I don't mean skin complexion. I mean people that are um positive, upbeat, trying to keep the peace, peacemakers. And
Mm-hmm.
then you've got Camille and Zadia on the other side with their men, Cornelius and Naim. They're just kind of like they're full of like negativity and trying to bring things down and cause a scene and be messy.
Yeah, I think that this show did a good job displaying people's issues and flaws, things that they can work on because we all have stuff to work on. And I think that if they were smart, they would be like, you know what, that was not a good look. Let me go ahead and work on that. But what's happening is the
Hmm.
people who should work on stuff, they're now just doing damage control and blaming editing and everybody else on the situation when it's clear what happened. Because if I go to work, and you can probably relate to this, the last thing I'm trying to do when I go to work is present myself as an angry black female. I'm going to do
Exactly.
everything I can to avoid that situation because I don't want no problems and I don't want no problems for our people, right? So I'm not
Right.
going to add to that. And that's an everyday thing. Even so I've had people touch me at work and I had to,
In
like,
a if I can clarify
in a
it,
threatening way.
in a threatening way. Oh my goodness,
And
what? Ooh.
I've had to remain professional and remain calm because the last thing you're going to get from me is a ghetto reaction. This is not going to
Right.
happen because we have enough of that. But that's my point. Like, y'all signed up to be on TV. You knew this was coming, so you will be better off just, not trying to focus on changing our minds about what we saw or what we think happened. You need to worry
Right.
about, okay, the next time I have this situation or something like this, I need to present myself in a better way.
You know what? And to that end, Misha says they're not going to work on anything. This cast had no accountability. And I totally agree. Like,
And
I
that's that.
saw no accountability. Like, at some point in life, can you just say, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have poked him in the nose. I shouldn't have,
She didn't want to
Camille.
spend no time on that. She was like, okay,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I apologize. Let's move on.
Right. Oh, yeah. That was it. That was her reaction. Like, oh, no, I ain't got nothing to say about that. Like, really? Wow, that just I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, at some point you have to accept accountability. Even Camille, oh, I didn't say that. They put words in my mouth. It's a voiceover.
Mm-mm-mm.
Then then she started changing up the tune when they did the tape. They played the tape back what like 2 3 times, and then all of a sudden she's changing her tune. Lady, just tell the truth. Tell
Right,
the
because
truth.
you look crazier if you don't.
Exactly, exactly. And
Just take the L.
Right, right, right. Well, on a more upbeat note, what did you think about when Tanika Ray came around to talking to Dante and Aisha about their connection?
I
Um,
felt that off the screen.
okay, yeah, me too, me
I
too.
was like, look how they looking at each other. Look how he looking at her. And I also noticed that, well, I did notice that he didn't really answer the question of where's marriage. You know what I mean? If marriage is on the horizon,
I
I thought
thought,
he gave
well,
a
I
little
thought he gave.
political
I
answer.
thought he. Yeah, well, yeah. I thought he gave a typical guy answer. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
they're a couple of months into this. I wouldn't expect him to necessarily know. And if he does know, it's not necessary that he share it with us.
True
You know what I'm
that, true
saying?
that. But
So,
to
yeah,
answer your question, I love that. Like, I'm a hopeless romantic. I love movies like that. I love to see it. You know what I mean? And we can feel that type of situation. And everybody who loves love was probably cheesing from ear to ear, like, "Oh my goodness," and all the haters were not.
I think so. I think so. I think they made a great connection, and
Hmm.
I think that's what I see him saying is that we made a connection. We have our good days, we have our bad days. Now that the cameras are gone, we're working on it. I love what Aisha said though too. She said that when he's struggling, that she knows how to give him his space. Aisha, in my opinion, really brought the femininity this season. She brought
I
the
totally agree.
femininity. And she showed how, because I think a lot of times people underestimate femininity. They think that it's some kind of weakness. Like, we look back at the women's from the 50s and the 60s and that era, and we think, oh, you know what? I'm a career woman, I'm a boss chick, I'm this, I'm that. But in dating and in relationships with a man, I just don't see where that really has to always fit in. It doesn't necessarily fit in. You thinking you're such a boss chick, but I,
Mm-hmm.
I
He's
I
the
mean,
boss.
well, you know what? He's a man, and let's be realistic. We know that there are some differences between men and women, and a man. See, women want love and affection for the most part, and I'm kind of generalizing, but I'm gonna use this general statement. For the most part, in dating and in marriage with a man-woman relationship, women want affection, they want love, right? But what men want is to be respected and thought
Hmm.
well of by their women. So now, if you're doing all the leading, what does he have left to do? I mean, like, you're gonna take his role and your role. You can't take all the roles.
That's true. I mean, I agree with everything you said but I think that it's also like a generational thing because, people look at submissiveness or like you said, being feminine and stuff like that as bad words or whatever. And it's like, no, you have
Right.
that one
Weakness.
person that you are that way for. And,
Exactly. That's
stuff
that
gets
part right
done
there
with
too.
femininity.
Right. That it's that part too, because you're right. It's that one person. Like, you don't have to show that when you go into work. You can still be the boss chick. Okay, I ain't mad at you. Be that boss
Hmm.
lady. Be that supervisor. Be that manager. Be that CEO. Okay, like Tasia. We see Tasia. I read something. I don't know if you saw this, Damita, but I read something somewhere that literally this season, it had all the ladies that were on the season of Ready to Love. They were all entrepreneurs in some shape, form, or fashion. And I
Hmm.
thought, wow, that is so empowering to see these beautiful black women that have their own businesses. They're successful. They're educated. They're skillful. I thought that was a great thing. But the problem with some of them were they don't know how to balance it out. And Misha says it. She says Aisha had a great balance of boss chick and femininity. So you
It
can
really
still be
did.
strong and be soft. You can still be strong and be soft. But with Tasia, I didn't see where she had that great balance. I saw her operating more in her masculinity. I saw her operating more in uh what I do is who I am. And I mean, some people believe that what they do for a career or job or their business is who they are, but I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I mean, I think that it's a mix between what they showed us, right, and then
Hmm.
but you gave them that. So it's like, Aisha, if you watch her with every man that she went on a date with, she had questions and she was like the way that she
Yes.
was with them, she made those men feel like she was open to you might be the one. Let me ask you these questions. And what do you think about this? And it was her attitude and her demeanor that probably may let her lead. But I also heard that she didn't really worry too much about making friends with the women at the time of the show that the show was filming. She was focused on, you know,
Dating. Yeah.
yeah, but you're right. Like I said that too. I was like, she is the perfect example of a feminine woman. She wasn't hard, even when she lost her cool at the table. She still wasn't masculine with it. You know what I
No,
mean?
she was not. She was absolutely not. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say this, and please forgive me, but you know what? We all come with sometimes preconceptions of who people are based on where they're from or what they show us in the initial this is the cast. I thought, being from New York, I thought she would have been harder. I really did. I thought she would have been the one who was going hard, like, I'm a boss chick and this is what I do. I own my own salon and I make this much money and I'm in the six-figure bracket and blah blah blah. But she totally destroyed the myth and the idea that I had about her from the first time I saw her open her mouth. She
Mm-hmm.
totally showed me that she was feminine and that she was savvy and that she was open to the process. And you know something, I'm going to say this on behalf of my other special guest, Alex W. Lee, he noticed it right away, and I guess as a man, he's going to notice something different than I'm going to notice as a woman. He said it right off the bat. He said, you know what? She leads with her vulnerability and her femininity.
Mm-hmm.
She's vulnerable on every day, like you pointed out. Every date that she went on, she was so vulnerable and open to the process. It didn't matter if she was sitting there talking to Phil, telling him about how she had some issues with carrying children to term. She was just open and vulnerable. We saw her cry. And that's the thing that I think that as a woman, I didn't understand that when I was younger, that men like to see women be vulnerable. I didn't understand that. I'll be honest. I did not.
Me either.
So I think that's a win in her a feather in her cap. And I really think that she could teach a thing or two, because I'm gonna say this about Shiloh, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I'm just talking about her behavior while dating on the show, what we saw. Shiloh to say that she's an intimacy coach. I didn't understand as an intimacy coach. I was like, well, wow, that's really funny that you're calling yourself an intimacy coach and a guru on Instagram. I don't know what the credentials are for that job or that position or that type of therapy, if it is actual therapy. But what I didn't understand was, okay, so you're an intimacy guru, so you've mastered this intimacy thing, and yet we find out when the scene that happened, the conversation about that situation that night in the alley. You mean to
Mm-hmm.
tell me that you like Phil, you told Phil on camera that you liked him and that he was your number one and all this jazz, but you never thought it was important to be vulnerable and tell Phil what you were actually going through and what you had experienced on some level? You didn't think that it was
Right.
important for him to know that you
But
have
then she's talking
triggers?
to Walter all this time.
Wow. Well, right.
And
And I
he
wondered,
said in his
did
interview
Walt
that they were talking about her childhood.
see now that part. You see what
Mm-hmm.
you see the disingenuous. I mean, it boggles the mind to think you're telling us now that you were triggered. And I'm not taking away from her experience. I'm not taking away from whatever her truth is, but I think that there's some truth that she has that's mixed in with a lot of emotional instability around that whole situation, because she does have triggers regarding men touching her and picking her up. And that is both her problem and Phil's problem, but it's more her problem because that's something that she can receive therapy and treatment for, and she can overcome that. And if she's not overcoming at this point, I just have to really question, were you really ready to love? Were you really ready to be on this program? Were you really ready? Um, because you didn't even expose it. At least we saw with Tyrone, who suffers, he was very open about suffering from post traumatic, stress disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
He talked about that. He told the women that up front. They didn't have to pull it out of him, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, Shiloh, you say you care about this man. You say you want to build a future with him. Now it's important. This is a good time to start sharing, even if it's not on camera. You should start opening up and sharing things that trigger you, and let him know who you are on the inside, your wounds.
Especially if you're trying to get him to be more connected to you. And as an intimacy coach, you're right. I think that she should have had that on lock. Like, I don't understand what the issue is. And then but the other thing is, like, I don't want to diminish anybody's situation. Like, if
No.
but if you're saying that you were not threatened physically, right?
Hmm.
You weren't. So why are we bringing up the physical part if it wasn't anything
Right.
physical? You know what I mean? Because I would never want
Right.
to insinuate that on a man who didn't do anything in that way. And he doesn't, I don't know him, but he just doesn't come across like that. But and clearly they were picking y'all up all season because y'all was tripping.
We
But
saw that. We saw that. Not to cut you off, but did you notice something? I noticed this, and I was wondering. We saw in the previews. We kept seeing in the previews where Phil was picking her up at the resort
mm-hmm,
and putting her on the kitchen counter, and they started kissing, kissing, kissing. Okay,
mm-hmm.
as Jason would say, I was kissing, kissing, kissing. Okay, so they were kissing, kissing, kissing. But what I didn't see, I never saw it on the show. They used it. They just kept hooking us in with that, and I was like, oh, I can't wait till they get to the resort because I want to see where all this kissing, kissing, kissing is gonna lead to.
I
But
don't
then,
understand how they edited this season because it was just all
thank
over the
you,
place. They never
thank
revisited
you.
some of the situations they showed at the reunion either. I was telling you about the part where her and Corey, when Corey was standing there, she was crying and Corey was trying to console her. Aisha was crying on the couch and Phil was trying to console her. But I don't know, this season, maybe, like I said, maybe we did miss a lot of editing, but what we did see on editing, within editing, it was like most of the drama was not on film, and y'all brought that out. So, I mean, with this situation with them at the club or whatever they were doing that night, the production wasn't there. Whatever happened, I guess, is her word against his word. But to me, the telling thing is Sydney. Sydney knows Courtney. Courtney was there. And Sydney still decides to go with Phil. Now, I know people do this in real life and they don't care about what you've gone through with the other person, but it speaks a lot to me that Sydney heard everybody's side and she is like, okay, I understand what's going on. And so, like, Shiloh just kind of looks like, if she's for real, I mean, that's one thing. But if she's doing all this and it comes out that she was really actually just mad because he didn't pick her,
right.
That's not a good look.
Because I have to say personally, not discounting that she was triggered, not discounting any of that, but I feel like there's I don't know, I just feel like there's some
something in the
little bit of
buttermilk ain't
bitterness.
clean.
Right, exactly. I feel like that. I really do, and I think that there's something going on there that she didn't want to say. And I think also going back to that actual episode when the women were supposed to vote a man off, I think that she literally wanted Phil to be voted off. And if you notice, Tommy said there's not going to be any elimination this week. You notice that?
I did notice that, and I also noticed the body language of everybody else.
Right.
Nobody chimed in, nobody really added anything. It kind of was like they were just sitting there like, well, I don't have anything to say about this.
No, because I think a lot of the women had a chance to meet Phil early on. You remember for a while, he was the most popular guy there. Like,
I
he was
still
going
cannot
on.
believe he was that he's come out like this. Like, I was not looking at Phil in the beginning, and I'm just really shocked that all these women were feeling him like that. I mean, I'm looking at him different now, but
Phil is the guy. This is what I had to tell my special guest, Alex W. Leaf. Hey, Alex, I know you're out there listening, and watching our broadcast today. But listen, I told Phil this early on. I said, you know what? I said, Phil is the guy that women, when they get mature, they want him. He's not a bad boy. He's not a bad boy. He's a good guy. He's a genuinely, this is what my take on him is, from viewing him and observing him. He's a genuinely good guy. He genuinely adores women. And I mean that not like, saying like tramp or like he adores all women, but just like you could see when he brought Sydney to meet his aunt and his cousin, two females, family members. You could see how he gave the bear hug to his auntie. That's who he is. He doesn't think anything about that, but he's just a genuinely loving guy. He's a protector. He's a protective guy.
I agree. I agree with you. I did not see it at the beginning because I wasn't looking with my, mental focals or whatever.
You were looking at the physicality of it all.
I was looking at the physicality of everybody, and I was just like,
that's what we women we get caught up. See, men think that they're, Alex always says, well, men are more visual. Men are visual. I won't say he put the more. That's me. I'm sorry. Men are visual. And I say, well, you know what? Women are visual too. But that's something we get stuck in as women. I think in the modern era, I think women like my mother, I think women like my godmother, who just celebrated with my godfather 74 years of marriage. Okay, 74 years.
Gosh.
Same man, one man, one woman, right? I just want to say this. I think that we get stuck in the visual now in this modern era where we have TV and Instagram and people on TV all the time. We get stuck in the physicality of a man, but a man's greatest part is his heart.
I agree.
Heart and his character. And Phil,
I'm learning that in my older age.
Oh, listen, you ain't hardly. Well, wait a minute. Monique King says Phil is a grandma's favorite, as Misha would say. Exactly.
I mean, if you look at how they were on the reunion, did you notice that Phil, when he was not sitting beside Sydney, when he wasn't sitting beside Sydney and she was sitting behind him, he actually was turned and had his hand on her leg.
I saw that, and he was holding her hand too, because I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, because and at one point when she was kind of going back and forth a little bit with Naeem,
Mm-hmm.
he was right there. He was holding her hand and kind of like comforting her, letting her know it's gonna be okay. I got your back. You don't got to worry. You don't have to worry about Naeem
Yeah.
or the other one. Zadia. You ain't got to worry about none of them. I
And I
got your
think that,
back,
that brings
girl.
me back to chemistry, because when you look at Phil and Sydney and you look at Dante and Aisha, you see it coming off the screen. And you look at that couch with Cornelius and Camille and them, you don't see it coming off the screen. It's just like, dang, I wish I had that. I thought I was trying to pick that.
What was the mean mug? I said I wasn't. I was debating whether to bring this up, but I have to ask you since I have you here, and you seem to really be in. You saw a lot of the IGs and a lot of the IG lives and the interviews. What was the mean mug that was on the faces of Camille, Cornelius, Zadia, and Naim? I mean, like even when Dante and Aisha were gushing and talking about their connection and their journey through Ready to Love. Why were those other couples? They were just looking so sour.
Like they were so mad. I don't know. I don't know if they were just jealous or they could realize, okay, we don't have that. I mean, because Naeem was not showing affection to Zadia, and Cornelius was just kind of sitting there. It was just, I don't know. Okay, so I will say this. I don't know if that was actually how it happened in real time or whether it was the edits. I mean,
Oh,
because if they're gonna, they've been saying all this season that the edits, messed them up, or whatever.
I
Whoever
don't.
was on the cameras and whoever put this thing together, they were catching those faces. They were not happy.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, I guess you're right about that because I couldn't see where when they separate. So when you see the screen and you only see one side of it and you don't really know what's going on the other side, where Phil and Sydney are sitting, or Dante and Aisha are sitting together, you don't know whether they're responding to that question at that particular time. You're right. So I don't know. I can't
But
say
they
for
did have a
sure.
couple full stage shots where they were just sitting there looking like bumps on a log.
That's
And
what
they
I
weren't
thought.
smiling like everybody else, because Sabrina and them was in the background and everybody was just excited that was excited. But then, like,
Right.
they were just not happy. But I'm telling you, at least for Zadia and Naeem, I'm trying to tell you, he is not allowed to go outside at a certain point. He is. Let me stop. I'm just playing. But he
No,
looked
no,
like a
no.
strict,
I'm
like,
sorry.
parent.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He
No, go
looked
ahead.
like a
Go ahead.
strict parent. She looked like she was trying to convince us that he's fun. And I've seen some little Instagrams that they've been doing or whatever, but I don't know. I just feel like if she's used to the fun guy, I'm pretty sure she's gonna feel that Dante lost for a minute.
Right. I was just laughing too. I'm sorry. I cackled a little bit because Misha said they looked real haterish, as Zadia was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Taking Zadia's word and using it on her. That's what I thought, Misha. I thought they looked real haterish. I thought that the thing about it that I feel sad about as for our community, for Black people. Again, I'm always happy when somebody is happy. I mean, whatever it is, if you like it, I love it. And if you really made a genuine connection, which to me you see more of a connection with Dante and Aisha and Phil and Sydney. I do anyway. I'll speak for
Mm-hmm.
myself only, but I see more of a real genuine connection, more emotion, more connectedness with those two couples than I do on the other side, on the other sofa, where there was Zadia and Naim and where there was Cornelius and Camille. But even whatever the connection was, why not be happy for your castmates? You guys all went through this process together. That's the one thing that you share. All of you went through this process together, so why not make the best of it? I just don't get it.
I don't know, because I mean, at this point, you are on the back end of it, and you might see, but you might not think that if you acted a fool. You know what I mean? If your memories looking back on it is like, dang, I just tried to cuss that girl out, she then ended up with the dude that I was picking on my number one, and I said it on camera. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that part. Yeah, because I thought about that. I said, you know what? I said, now this is funny. It's kind of really where turnabout is fair play. She was busy talking about that. Aisha was dense and dumb, and she don't have no
Mm-mm-mm.
conversation like I do. I think there was a little bit of classism going on there with
I
with
mean, who
with
would even say
Camille.
that? Who would
I
even
don't
say
know,
that?
but I felt like there was a little bit of classism, as if they were implying that because Aisha works with her hands, and well, also with her mind. She has her own beauty salon, and I'm sure she's successful at it. But because these people maybe went to this particular college and belonged
Mhm.
to this particular sorority, there was
Mm.
a lot of, I felt like there was classism, plain and
And that's
simple.
probably what they're trying to clean up right now. Because I think that I do believe that, I think Zadia is a baddie, right? She's cute, right? But the
Yes,
attitude, it doesn't make her cute. And I think that she's
not at
trying to do
all.
the damage control. And I think that her and Naim will probably try their hardest to stay together, just because they pointed out that they found the connection after they both got voted off or whatever. And they're gonna try to probably stay together until they absolutely cannot, just to prove everybody wrong.
Right. And you know what? I don't know if you read this comment, but Miss Real Rose says she agrees with you that some of the women were too emotional to handle the dating platform on this show this season. And I agree with her. I agree
Hmm.
with her and you that, some of the women just got caught up in their emotions. And this is where that thing called maturity comes into play, because we all have emotions, and your emotions, you're entitled to them. You're entitled to feel sad. You're entitled to feel, maybe if you're a little jealous, or you're feeling like, less than, or maybe he likes somebody more than you. But the thing that you have to do, I feel like, to be successful in this show and in the real world in dating, is that you have to operate in maturity. When you're a mature
Hmm.
woman, you allow things to happen, and you just look at it, you discern it, and you see it for what it is. And you allow that man to prove to you that he really wants to be with you.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
I
that
agree.
that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. We're gonna get ready to wrap things up. But what are you any last comments and insights on this season's cast? And then, what do you think about, this season that starts Friday, apparently?
Well, I'm so glad to close this season out. I've had enough. My cup is full on that. But I cannot wait for the next season because it looks a little spicy, as Kamisha would say.
Yeah, it does. It does. Oh, wait a minute. Delightful Del B. She says that Camille was in the Jack and Jill community, that group. Yeah, I remember that. I remember
What's
that group.
that?
Jack and Jill? Oh, Jack and Jill was like, I think it was like a black etiquette group, like a social group where you
Mm.
kind of were like upscale, where you were taught etiquette, and you were just kind of like maybe considered to be a little bougie, a little upper echelon. And maybe I'm saying this wrong, but this is just
Okay.
my remembrance of it. I was never in it, but at my church there were a number of people that were in it. Do you remember, like, are you familiar with, like, the whole
Hmm.
cotillion thing where
Yeah.
girls come out as debutantes? So kinda, if I'm not mistaken, kinda along that line. But it was just like the upper echelon. Like, if your parents, let's say, were doctors or lawyers and, degreed, they would put you in these type of programs so that you could meet other young people that were coming up that came
Okay.
from that same kinda household. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
we meet our mates where, like, a lot of people, if you're, you tend to marry in your social economic group. And the way that you do that is because your parents are constantly putting you in programs
Mm.
where you're meeting these same types of people, right?
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, back to, what do you think about the upcoming season?
I think the upcoming season is going to be good. It looks interesting. But then, OWN is they didn't do this reunion right, because they teased all these things that never happened, and it was kind of lackluster. So hopefully this season is better. They look like I think they follow some of the vloggers, and they kind of listen to what's being said, and so we'll see what kind of stuff they incorporate this season.
Yeah, I think so. I think it should be interesting. Did you know that Wiley Brown is the son of the king of go-go, Chuck Brown?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
he's one of his sons. So I did have a question for you though.
Oh, go
Um,
ahead. Go ahead.
who do you think that they will bring anybody back from this cast to the next one, like they did KG from the past season?
Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. You know what? I think you could be on to something. I don't know who it would be, maybe, but
Who would you want to see come back?
who would I want to see come back? Okay, that's a good question. Oh, okay. I've got two women in mind, and then I have to think about the guys for a second. But I really like Libba. I think Libba was dismissed and, eliminated too soon. And
Hmm.
watching her on the IG live, she has a wicked sense of humor. That girl has me. She'll have me cracking up laughing. If
Yeah,
you
she
saw
seems
her
fun.
Yeah, if you saw her on Little Black Book 91 on his channel, she had me dying during the panel. She and not only was she funny and witty, but she brought a lot of good insight and she seemed very mature. So since that was lacking in some of the women this past season, in her season, I think she would be a good choice to bring back. I think Carrie would be a good choice to bring back too. But
Hmm.
but what I would say, like Carrie, if you're listening out there, Carrie, I love you. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. You seem very sweet. But I would like to see you also not be quite so assertive. Soften yourself a little bit. Show your more vulnerable side. And I think if you did that, I think things will go really, really well for you because you're a beautiful young lady. But I'd like to see you just try that out a little bit, and not worry about being the boss chick so much. Okay, let that go. Let that go. Put that in your your toolbox for at
You
work.
are so funny.
I'm serious because I saw something Carrie. That's a whole nother thing. I saw Carrie do an IG live, and I was right with her. I was rooting for her. I was like, she could have been my daughter. I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. And then this guy came up that was said that he was a
Mm.
lobbyist in DC. And she just kind of like kept going with her live, and dude was asking her out on a date, and it was so funny because like 5 minutes before that, she was lamenting that she was single and she wasn't in a relationship, and I'm like, you know what? See,
You
she
just
could.
blocked your blessing.
Girl, it was like, sometimes we ask God for something, and some people say the universe, but I'm a believer, so I will say God. You ask God for something, you pray for something, you want it, you want it, you want it, you want a relationship with a good man. And this man literally walked up, and I don't know him from a can of paint. But I said, you know what? This guy, this brother, he has a great job. He has a future ahead of him. And he was very attracted to her. And he was a very physically attractive man. I was like, what's the problem, girlfriend? She kept dismissing him. She was so busy. And maybe it was because she was so caught up in doing her live. I was like, you know what? Young people gonna miss a whole lot of stuff on these IG lives. They're gonna miss a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the real world, in real life, while they're just doing their IG lives trying to build up an audience. You gotta know when to be in the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Those are
But
two good choices though. I want to see both. I would see both of them come back. Because I think they got rid of some of the people who would have done really well in if they stayed in the end. You know what I mean? Like if Carrie would have been there, if Cecilia would have still been there, if Libba would have still been there, even
mhm.
Lamont.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about Lamont now because I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he had to offer. I haven't seen him on an IG live. I haven't seen him really in an interview. I'm not, certain what he has to offer. I'm not saying that he doesn't have anything to offer. I'm trying to think. That's why I was trying to think. What guy would I want to see? What man would you want to have them bring back? Any of the men
I
this
would like
season?
to see Tyrone come back.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I knew it was somebody, and I couldn't put it together with the name and the face. Yes, Tyrone.
I
I
wasn't
would
feeling him at first
definitely.
either, but that was
Mhm.
my again. I totally had bad discernment on this situation.
Well, yeah, my girlfriend kind of hit me to his IG page, and I started going over there looking, and I was like, okay. Well, first of all, I'm a real sucker for military men. I'm gonna say that I'm a real
Mhm.
sucker. I love our military. I support them. My daughter is former Navy officer, so I love the military people. I support them. I think in our community sometimes as African Americans or Black people, we don't really understand all that is entailed in being in the military. It's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to see him. I would like to see him come back. But I'm going to say this about Tyrone now. Tyrone, if you're listening, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Tyrone. But listen, I saw you on that stage. And, you talked about, and I thought that was kind of a Freudian slip, by the way, when you said Carrie could be your wife. I said,
Mm.
okay, so if they brought the two of you back, maybe you guys could get to know each other this time for real, without you thinking that Shiloh is your wife.
Near Hagerstown, maybe sorry, near Winchester. Let me mute myself.
It's okay.
Over the waters generally, or maybe
What
along the shoreline.
what I was gonna say about what I was gonna say, I want to say this to Tyrone. I'm talking to you, Tyrone. What I wanted to say to him was that I didn't see him take accountability. Like, I don't know if it's the way they edited it or what, but what I saw him say was, yeah, well, I said this in the men's deliberation room, but no, Tyrone, we saw you, we heard you, unless we're totally going crazy. We saw you and we heard you when you were talking to Sabrina and you were talking to the other women, and you were so busy telling them Shiloh is my wife. like screaming, like, "What?" What? I mean, like, who does that? I mean, you're on
Yeah.
a show to meet other people, and I get that this dating show, that this Ready to Love format is not for everybody. Okay, I do get that. And so, in saying that, I would like to see him maybe come back. I also want him, if he were to come back, to pre-assess before he made that decision. If this type of show is really, because not everybody can date multiple people at one time. Seriously,
Exactly.
it just sometimes it's too overwhelming and whatever else he has going on, because I think Tyrone also runs his own company, and he's
Mhm.
very successful guy. He's a very successful guy, so that can be a lot, trying to do 12 hours or 10 hours a day taping on this show and trying to run a business. I get that. I really get that.
Yeah. And you know it would be weird to have a microphone on you all that time and like it's picking up the very faintest of sounds, you know what I mean? Every time you mumble something to yourself, it's going to be picked up in the mic.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think, because you know what, I say a lot of stuff. I mumble a lot of stuff. My kids used to tell me when they were in the home, when they were younger, they were like, "Mom, you do know we can hear what you're saying, right?" So I'll do stuff like I'm in my head, and I'll say something out loud, and I know people can hear me, but I guess it's being maybe a little bit passive aggressive in my my own way. So I'm saying something smart to you to let you know, like, I didn't appreciate whatever you just did or whatever you just said. So no, I couldn't imagine that. I would never go on this show. I would never do it. I
Yeah,
would never.
my cousin actually suggested that I do it, and I was like, I would not do that. But after I thought about it, I was like, maybe I would. But after this season and seeing everything, I would not do it. I wouldn't do it because it's not made up for us. Like we're in competition in real life, period. Like if we have a guy that we're trying to date or whatever, maybe he may have somebody else interested in him at the same time he's trying to date us. But we're not going to get together with that girl and get to talk and see what they're doing together. You know what I mean? And that's the downfall of this show, is that once you go out on this date with this person, these people are talking about you. You know what I mean? They're getting together every week in a room and
Oh,
talking
right.
about you. So
They're
yeah, I
critiquing.
couldn't
They're
have did it.
critiquing you. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part. That's the part too. That's a whole part. But I don't know. You could come out of it stronger. I think maybe have learned some things about yourselves. I mean, there's good parts to it, but I'm just trying to imagine if I were back again in my 30s, I would want to do this show. I just don't know if I would. But I think now the good thing about it for reality TV is because people of a certain generation are so used to doing IG live, Facebook live. They want to be on TV and do these
Mm-hmm.
reality shows. So there's no probably there's no lack of participants that want to come on and grow their brand,
But
be
what are you willing to
exposed.
do for it, though? Is my
Yeah.
question. I have one more question for you.
Yes. Look at
What
you.
what is one thing that you think will make the show better for next season?
Okay, the one that they don't have already in the can that we're about to watch, right? So because
Well,
they've
I
already.
think they've already filmed this one in DC, but they're going to Miami too. But if you could give on
Mhm.
TV one piece of advice on what we need to do to make this show a little bit better as a view from a viewer standpoint, what would you say?
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. I guess I have to question, what really are the rules, and does everybody understand the rules? Because one thing I look at is when you have a so-called established couple. So, like for example, I'll go back to not using this season, but the season before, when you have Vernisha and Joelle, right?
Mm-hmm.
um they were never voted off, and they made it to the end, but then at the end, things didn't really work out for them because it seemed like maybe Joel had ulterior motives. So I would want to know, one, what are the rules? What really are the rules? Because if people are in a relationship, it seems like they allowed them to stay on to make it to the end. In
Mm-hmm.
some couples' cases, and in other couples' cases, because we saw Camille and Cornelius, we saw them be eliminated, or him being eliminated, and of course she's self eliminated. Which that's a whole nother thing. This season had a lot of self elimination, so
I think
I
they
don't.
should take that away.
Yeah, that right there, because
Like you
make
were signing
Camille.
for something and then you're gonna quit.
Right, right. Make Camille go to the end and date some more people, because we saw how her dates went initially. After she had picked Cornelius, she basically didn't want to date anymore. Like, you know what? She just did not
Mm-hmm.
want to date. I'm like, really? You don't want to date because now you feel like that's the one. But what if that's not the one? What if you guys have a chemistry and a connection? But what if you were really meant to be with Tyrone?
Right. And like I think that they should have something else that they get to know each other. That more than that mixer. They need something more than the mixer. Because some people said they didn't even get to talk to some people.
Oh, wow. Okay, so to your point, delightful Dell says Dell B says they should do 2 shows of speed dating before any eliminations. Yeah, I
That's
agree.
a good idea.
There definitely should do something where, because we see Libba got eliminated and Lamont got eliminated very early, and we really didn't get to know enough about them, I feel like.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think there
I
should
think
be
that's an
some
awesome
more.
idea.
That's a you're right. That's a very good
At
idea. I
least you get
definitely
like
agree.
10 or 15 minutes in front of everybody twice, and we can ask some questions and we can see if it really was a connection or something before we tell this person to go home. Because how am I telling this person to go home when I didn't even get to talk to him?
Right,
Then I
right.
bought him because I didn't get to talk to him.
Exactly. Hey there, Purple Tube. Purple Tube is saying hello to both of
Hey,
us.
Purple Tube.
Yeah, she's got her own YouTube channel, also another YouTuber
Let
out
me
there.
go
So
find
thank
her right now then.
yeah, so thank you for supporting Purple. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think you're right though. There definitely should be a little more incentive where we get to see these participants up close, telling a little bit more about themselves than just that one mixer. You're right about that. I definitely agree. Like I said, I think that they should clarify the rules that if a person, so let's say 4 or 5 weeks into it or episodes into it, you do have a couple, they have real chemistry or whatever that is, or they just pick each other, then what are the rules? Do they stay in because they're a couple now? We're going to continue to just let them date each other, and now they're out of the process of dating the other singles on the show. I don't
Right.
really understand what they're doing with that.
Have you ever seen that show, The One?
Hmm.
Terrence J was hosting it from BET. It was a while ago or whatever, but they basically put these people in a group and then they all have to figure out, like, they have taken personality tests, so the show knows who the matches are, but they have to still date around and talk to each other to figure out who's the match. And then like they meet each week to eliminate, and if they have coupled up with the right person, then they'll have like, you know, a certain number of beams of light, right? And they win money if they make it to the end of a
Oh.
certain number of couples. But in that show,
Uh huh.
once a couple actually matches and they actually find each other, right? They
Right.
go to a couple house. And so I don't know if OnlyFans
A
start
couple
saying,
house.
okay,
What?
if these two people are picking each other, they're obviously not going to date anybody else. So then they go on to the couple house to make it to the end. Like if they're going to make it to the end anyway, right? Like just put them in the couple house and let everybody else who's still trying to figure out their connections still date. I don't know.
Oh wow.
I'm just
Okay.
thinking
Well.
that might be a good thing to do because we don't know what's supposed to happen once people pick somebody. Are they supposed to go
Right.
or are they supposed to stay?
Right, and I want to ask you something, so I'll know for the future, and the viewers that are watching now, what network is that on? What day do you want to tell us, or do you
You
recall, or
know
is it
what? I
still
haven't
coming
seen that
live?
show in a couple of years. It was just a
Oh,
show that I seen a while ago, so I can't even remember. Maybe somebody in the comments knows about that show. It was called The One with Terrence J. It was really interesting too, but I'm just taking that whole couple house idea away because in like you said in this, we don't know what's supposed to happen after like they pick each other. Are they supposed to stay or go home?
right. Right. So I don't. Yeah, that's a good. You know what I think of the show that I think of too while we're talking about shows. I liked. What was it? Uh, as soon as I wanted to talk about it, of course, I can't remember the name. The show where Lauren and Cameron they met and they were the interracial couple that ended up actually married. What was that show called? Blind, blind. What was
Was
that?
it? It was a show called Blind Date,
Blind.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or Love
something
Is
like
Blind.
Love It. There it is. Love is Blind. Girl, yes.
That was a good show.
Yes, yes, yes. I like that. I like that. And see, once again, saying about what I said earlier about people taking looks out of it, taking the physicality out of it. These people met and talked to each other through a wall or whatever, and
Mhm.
they never saw each other's face. They never saw the person's physicality. Is he tall? Is he short? Is he light? Is he dark? Is he black? Is he white? And
Mhm.
Lauren and Cameron fell in love. She's black and he's white. He's Caucasian. They fell in love through talking to each other and getting to know each other for the character. What is your
Right.
character? What do you love? What are your interests in life? Where do you see yourself going? What is your lifestyle? Do we share those things? Because my mother used to say, love who loves you. And I will tell
Mm.
black women that all the time because, it's a thing where black women, it's statistically true that black women tend to not date outside their race. And there's nothing wrong with dating inside your race. I mean, I love that. Both my parents are black. But I think that in this day and age where a lot of people are dating outside their race, and I have a lot of friends that have never been married, and they say, well, oh, I won't date outside my race. And I'm like, I don't know why. Because in my church years ago, there were two white guys that we did date, and they both wanted to marry. So I have no
Mm.
problem with dating outside my race. I never have. Like,
I have
at,
never done it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and it's not
And
because
that's
I
a lot
don't
of
want
black
to,
women. And then
but
when what I don't understand though is why, like, and I hear things like, well, I love chocolate and this and that and this and that. But if chocolate don't love you,
mm-hmm.
what you doing? Because I'm just saying for the younger women, you and I, we're already moms, okay? Thank God. But I'm
I
just
know,
saying for
right?
the
I'm
younger
not doing
women
that
that,
again.
yeah, right. But for the younger women that are looking for a mate, a husband, okay, want to have children and want to have children inside of marriage. I'm just questioning. Well, what is the reason? Because if black men are marrying Caucasian women, uh, Hispanic women, and some
Mm-hmm.
black women, but if they're not, if in your circle, in your area, in the country, in the world where you're at, if they're not trying to date you, they're not trying to choose you. I'm just wondering what you're really doing, because there are men out here, and like I said, I know it because at my church, which our church was a nice mixture of all types of people. Like, so clearly there were Caucasian people at our church, because these two Caucasian men, I dated them and they wanted to get married. And the one guy, he actually did marry another sister in the church, and he asked me before he started dating her, because we had been dating, and it was just kind of, for me, it was kind of fizzling out. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, I want to know if it's okay if I date sister so and so. And I said, hey, yeah. And it was so funny because I remember to this day now. He said, are you sure? Because what he was saying in that, he was being very above board. He was displaying excellent character. And he was really saying that, you if you're saying you're sure, because once I start dating her, there's no going back, is what I understood him to say, right? And I said,
Mm-hmm.
no, I absolutely, and they ended up getting married, and she was black also. So hey, I just kind of wonder, I mean, and I'm not saying, I'm not pushing this on anybody, but I have to question. I think people have to question that sometimes in life we have these blinders on, or we have these ideas of what life is and what people are, and we
Mm-hmm.
never take the time to really look and say, well, you know what? We all bleed red. We're all people. We're all human beings. And if we say we believe that, then why do we act like we can't date outside our race? I don't follow the logic.
I don't have a reason why I won't do it. I just never have. But I've never had well, they also come at me on dating sites, but in
Hmm.
person, I haven't experienced that in person. But I don't know. I think for me, it will probably be like, I think in my mind, I think that there was a whole bunch of things that I would have to explain to him that he doesn't currently think about. And vice versa, probably. You know what I'm saying? I just think that I don't know why I think that, but I just envision myself having to be like, okay, well, this is what white supremacy is, and this is what like.
Wait. No, I'm not, I'm sorry, because I was looking at the comments and I'm trying to multitask, which I'm never
No,
really
you
very
good.
good at. No, it's say that. Could you say that for me again so I
I'm
can?
So
Mhm.
I'm saying that I don't have anything, like, I don't have a reason of saying, oh, I won't date outside my race, but I've not been approached by anybody in person, but I have been approached online. But
Mhm.
I think in my mind, the one thing that I have in my mind is that I would have to explain a lot of things to him that I don't think that he's currently thinking about, right?
Mm.
Because I don't feel like a lot of people that are not our race think about how certain things are perceived, or like certain things are happening to us. But I think that's probably just my assumption because I've not dated anybody like that. But there's this girl that I watch on Instagram, and I don't know what her last name is. Burr. Is her first name Ashley? Anyway, she's a black girl, and she's married to a white guy, and like I love how their relationship is or whatever. But I just, I think the other thing too is that it's probably pink, and I don't know how it would feel looking at a pink one. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
Don't take
snap,
my thoughts.
snap. Trust me. Well, okay, let me hush.
I'm sorry.
Ooh, girl. Well, I'm gonna say this to you. A guy once told me about us ladies. It's all pink on the inside. Yeah. Okay. So, anyhow, I gotta tell Alex. I always try to keep it PG-13 up in here, so I don't want to go too far with that thought. But I
Okay,
get what
okay,
you're
okay, okay.
saying. I get what you're saying, and I think I'll say this. So, when I was 20, I started dating outside my race, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. This is a very little known story, but I'm going to share this with you because I think this is kind of relevant to now. This was years ago, so because it's been a while since I was 20. What happened, so at 20, and I will also preface this and say this too. So I was going through emotionally a lot. My father passed away with prostate cancer when I was 19. Okay.
Mhm,
And so at 20, I made the decision to cut all my hair off. And when I say, well, like a low fade or whatever, like, a little natural, like, okay.
mhm,
And at that point, because up until that point, I had been, popular, never had a problem getting dates or asked out, and never had any problems with dating at all. I'm a young 20-year-old woman, single. But when I cut my hair off, it was really interesting. So black men, all of a sudden, I became almost like invisible to them. But
mm,
on the flip side of that, Caucasian men and Hispanic men in my area were more attracted and drawn to me, and they were very assertive in asking me out for dates or trying to talk to me. And after a little bit of time, I decided, because I was like, hey, I'm open to whomever, like my mom said, love who loves you. So I said, well, why not go out for a coffee, why not go out for a lunch date, why not go out for a dinner date with some guy that I know well enough to go out with him and trust him, right? And this is back before internet dating. Okay.
mhm,
So yeah, I started dating, and what I found was, for one thing, to kind of maybe go to your comment. I think that for the most part, what I learned early on, something that we saw in Aisha in Ready to Love, is, like you said, is asking questions up front early on. So I was concerned, to be honest. I was concerned about the racial difference. I was concerned about whether they thought I was a fetish for them. And like most men, I
mhm,
always put with men, I say this: all men are men. Black, white, Hispanic, whatever. Men are men. And they're trying to get in your pants if they're straight, right?
mhm,
So, but what I wanted to know from them was, when we would sit down and talk, was, have you dated other black women before? What was that like? Did you take them home to meet your parents? Things like that.
mhm,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
what I quickly would suss out was the guys who maybe I was their first black woman they had ever dated or ever asked out on a date. If they haven't taken them home to maybe meet their parents. And I say, because obviously, every person you date, you don't, if you're an adult, you don't take them home to meet your parents.
right.
But just kind of getting a feel for where they were on the spectrum of blackness and acceptance of blackness. And also watching, again, if you're on a date, like you do this with anybody, I think, what I do anyway, I watch how they treat people. I watch how they treat the servers that's serving us our drinks, serving our food, right? And if
Mhm,
they're treating them with disrespect, then I don't, I'm going to dismiss that person, whatever race they are. So that just, I would see those types of things. And I would just say, for me, how I started dating outside my race, again, goes back to my physicality, that when I cut my hair and I had this little afro, which, not today, I wear my hair, once again, I wear my hair natural, and it's kind of like it's in style, it's in vogue. But I've always been a kind of edgy person, I think, about certain things. And I don't want somebody that likes me because today my style is in vogue, but 20 plus years ago, it wasn't maybe as in vogue as it is now. You get what I'm saying?
mhm,
I want the man and the person that loves me and enjoys me and appreciates me today, tomorrow, for who I am. And so if you're in my corner, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, or whatever, you down with me, I'm down with you. And the rest of it we're going to work on, because to me there's going to be a whole lot of things you're going to have to work on in any relationship with the person of the same
true.
race. So that's what I'm looking at. Can we really work? Can we build things together? And to the whole marriage thing, I just see that sometimes, honestly, in our community, what I feel like, no disrespect to my brothers, because I love them dearly, right? But a lot of times, black men, just some of them aren't interested in marrying black women. They will date black women. They will have sex with black women. They'll have sex with any color women, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes across board for all men. But who they pick and choose to give their name to give their covering to build financially with, and build a legacy with, and have children with. There's sometimes women that are not black. And we have to be really honest about that and say, you know what? Am I gonna sit up and wait around? You know, my years, like I said, if you're a young woman and you don't have any children, you're 25, you're 23, you're 24, you're 27, 28, and you're even 30, mid 30s. Like a lot of women we saw this season on Ready to Love, I felt like, they were in some prime years, but those years they're starting to click away because you're getting up in your high 30s and now you're in your 40s and you say you don't have any children and you want children. Um, you got
Time, yeah, time's ticking.
the time is ticking. Men can have children at any age, but women,
Yeah.
we don't have that going on for us, and I get tired of people pointing to, well, Janet Jackson or somebody else had a baby at 50 or 49 or 48 or please miss me with that. Miss
I
me with
don't
that.
even feel like getting up to come out here and make my breakfast in the morning or whatever. I'm dead gonna sure don't feel like running behind a little toddler right now.
Exactly. I'm like, what? All the kids I want to see are grandchildren.
I
Okay,
mean,
that's
because
all
I
I
can get
want.
those back, right?
Exactly. I can spoil you and send you back to your mama or your daddy, and yeah, okay. Because miss
That's
me with them little
funny.
kids.
You have opened my mind though, because I've been clicking no on a bunch of these people that are not just because they're not black, but like I do need to also work on the height thing because that doesn't
Are you
mean
a tall?
anything
Are you
either.
a tall lady? Are you
No,
a tall
I'm
lady?
only 5'6", but
Okay.
I don't want to see the top of a dude's head. But anyway, that's not what this show's about.
No, but
But
no,
you
speak. We're on it now. We might as well go ahead
like,
and finish this out with some dating stuff since we were talking about a dating show, right?
okay, so they're guys that are over 6 feet. Everybody always say, "Oh, I want a guy over 6 feet tall, or whatever." But the statistics of how many guys are actually 6 feet is not a lot, and that doesn't mean that he's not a jerk either, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
my
That's
whole
right.
thing is like, I can date you if you're at least my height. I would like for you to be taller, but if you're shorter than me and I can see the top of your head, then I'm gonna have a problem kind of trying to discern. Like if we're out and somebody attacks us, is the bigger person supposed to protect us, or like what's supposed to happen in that situation? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm being funny, but I do need to like work on it. Like most women, we like, oh, I want a guy that's tall, but tall don't
Everybody wants
necessarily
that
mean a
tall
good man.
guy. Yeah, everybody wants that tall guy, that 6 footer. Everybody wants that. I always like a tall guy, and
You
and
don't
I'm
mean he a good man though.
no, it does not. It does not. And I got a story on that, but I'm gonna say that for another episode, okay? But yeah, but no, everybody likes the tall guy, and you're right. Statistically, I look at it the same way too about the. I have a girlfriend, and we talk about this high wage earner, the 6 figure guy. Everybody's not gonna get a 6 figure guy. That to me,
Right.
that's just a fact. You know what I'm saying? You might end up with a guy that makes 40,000 or 50,000 or 60,000 or whatever that thing is, and you got to decide, like, okay, would you rather be by yourself? Is this guy a guy that you can build with? I mean, what's the determining factor? And if money is it, that's fine too, because everybody's entitled to like what they like. I'm not telling anybody not to like what they like.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed Purple Tube talking about interracial dating. She says, no, I don't think I would. And, she doesn't say why, and that's okay. Cause I think that's a choice that everybody has to make. You gotta be comfortable with who you choose and who you want to be with. Okay. Cause honestly, there are some cultures of people that, because of the religious background of a person, I'm not going to go there. I want a
Mm-hmm.
man. He can be Caucasian, he can be Hispanic, he can be black or whatever, but we got to align. We got to really kind of look at how we align spiritually and with our religion.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for example, I'm not going to date an atheist. That's not going to
Right.
happen. Not
Right.
that, not that I know it. If you tell me you're an atheist, or one of the questions I'm going to ask you early on in dating is, what are your,
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
I'm not doing that, right? I'm not, you can be atheist, agnostic. Okay, you're gonna be over there because you're not gonna be with me. You're not gonna be with me.
Tasia said that too. Well, kinda. She said that once she was talking to trying to get to know the guys, she realized early on that Naim wasn't one of the ones because he said that he doesn't celebrate any pagan holidays or whatever. She was like, "Oh no, my kids gonna have Christmas. They gonna do this and do that." So that was something
Right.
she used to weed him out.
Yeah, yeah, so that's why I say it's a lot of things. Like when people start eliminating people because of their race, I'm also wondering, but have you eliminated people because of other reasons, or are you just assuming that because the person comes in the same similar package on the outside, like saying, like for example, race, do you assume that this person let's say if you're Christian, you assume that they're Christian? If you're Muslim, do you assume that they're Muslim? I
Mm.
mean, where do you dating really is about gathering data. It's
Mm-hmm.
about gathering that data and figuring out, let me find out who this person really is, because just because you see the packaging looks like similar, or like I was saying to Alex in the past, like um your black may not be my black. And by that, I mean, we're going to go back to maybe even the classism thing, but that's not necessarily what I'm meaning. But I know coming from the Detroit metro area, there are all different levels of education, how people grew up, whether they grew up in church or whether they didn't, like we just talked about what their religion is, or if they even believe that there is a God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just because because you see somebody and they're black, for example, I could tell you something that's really interesting to me. So on another show, another reality show, I don't know if you watch Married at First Sight. um there
Not
was a
yet.
there was a couple, and so the guy was Afro, what is it, Afro Latino, I guess, if I'm saying this correctly. Now guys, if you're out there and if I'm not saying it correctly, charge it to my head and not my heart. But he was from what country was he from? He was from the not the Dominican Republic. Gil, if anybody knows Gil from last season with Merla, I can't think of what country he was from exactly, but he was Afro Latino, is what I would describe him as, right? So he
Okay.
looked, if you physically saw this man, you would see simply what I would say, and I want to be careful, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I would say you would just simply see a black man. But when he opened his mouth and maybe spoke, Spanish to you, you know, now you understand that there's something else going on there. You see what I'm saying culturally?
Yeah.
But if you just saw him walking down the street, you just see a black man. But
Was he the one that they were all calling Dusty last season?
yes, exactly. Yes, he is exact Colombian. Thank you.
Okay, because I haven't watched
Delightful.
the show, but I'm going to watch it now because I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. So the delightful Dale B says he was from Colombia. Yes, you're right. That's exactly it. He was from Colombia because I have a college mate that was from Colombia, and I couldn't think of it, but you're right. He was from Colombia, so he was Colombian. And so, like I say, so in this country, a lot of times when we see people, we kind of put them in a category. This person is black, or this person is white. I've got some family members, for example, that have blonde hair and blue eyes, and you might see them and think they were white, but they're not. They're black. Both
Right,
parents are
right,
black. They're not even biracial. They are literally, both parents are black, but we know that somewhere in the gene pool, right? We know that there's a recessive gene that's showing up, because they don't just come to be blonde hair, natural blonde hair, and natural blue eyes on their own.
right.
There's a mixing going on, is what I'm understanding. But so that's why I say, so when we dating people, we can't just assume because we see someone who looks familiar, we can't assume that they are familiar. We need to really take the time to question them, to get to know them as an individual person. And whether you choose to date outside your race or not, that's a choice that everybody makes on their own, and that's fine. But I would just really like to invite more black women to question, what is the reason why you're unwilling to date outside your race, and yet you've reached a certain point, you've dated for maybe 5, 10, 15 years of black men. You're not
Mm-hmm.
married, you've never been engaged. you know
It ain't
I,
like they're doing nothing spectacular
I,
in big droves.
I need for us thinking women, those of us that are thinking about what we do and how we live our life with intention. I need you to think about what is the reason, because
Mm.
you know I just need you to think about it. Now, what you come up with is what you
You
come
don't
up
put
with.
something in my mind now because I'm like, why not? Look, whether I do or don't, I need to figure out why I don't.
I'm
Right?
gonna, I'm gonna say, yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna say this. I think what a lot of women don't. There's some books out there, but and I can't think of any right now to recommend. But if we do another discussion, we should have this as a discussion, like just a topic outside of Ready to Love. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're willing to come back, I'm inviting
Of
you now.
course, of
We're
course.
com-
Listen. I want to take this time to just appreciate you for extending your platform as well. I had fun. This is great. I see the comment on the screen. Are you? Is he talking to me? Is she? Is
huh?
that he or she?
Uh,
That's Martin Luther King in the
yeah,
profile picture.
I'm thinking Dell is a lady. I'm thinking, and she has it up probably for MLK Day, probably
Yeah.
the picture.
Okay, so
Um,
I did match .com, which I canceled. I've not had success on dating apps because I just don't feel like I can get to know somebody really good through that, and it's like so many distractions and things going on inside the apps that I'm just like, okay, it's 20 people in here, no thank you. And I do Facebook. Facebook has a dating section
Okay,
now
now
too.
tell me about that because I've got a friend who's got a friend or a family member that they're trying to encourage to do that. So tell, is it anything good, or have you really gotten into it yet with the Facebook dating app?
Well, so I've been using it. When I say using it, I mean actually checking the messages and stuff for like I'll say 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And so
Have-
because we're in this pandemic posture,
Oh,
I have not gone out on any dates, but
okay, okay,
I have had a lot of people, and so maybe this is something that you can give me some advice on too, because maybe I'm being too no nonsense, right? And
okay.
so I'll go in there, I look at the people, and I will look at honestly, if you are very much shorter than me, I will
Wait a
know
minute.
on
How
that
do you know in the dating app if a person
because
is
they put
short?
their height on there. Sometimes
Oh,
they
okay.
put like five
That's one of
six
the.
or 5'5".
Oh, okay, okay.
And I can't. No, I don't. I do X people off on that. And if you don't have anything written on your profile, I don't even like. What am I supposed to be? Where's my motivation? But I have these
Right.
conversations with people, and I have a
Okay.
rule that if we're talking in the app and we're messaging back and forth, and we
Hmm.
go like 4 days, we haven't really said anything, and we're not moving nowhere, I'm deleting that conversation and next.
You are no nonsense, but
Because I mean, I feel like it's a certain, it's like I feel like it's a magic point of, okay, we are
yeah.
meeting each other on this app. At some point, we have to decide that
Move
we're going to
past
talk
that.
on the phone, right? We're
Right.
going to either
Yeah.
talk on the phone or set something up or whatever. If we're still chatting and we're not really doing anything and you've not talked to me in 4 days, then I'm
Yeah.
just going to assume that you either found somebody else, you're not interested, and I just delete it because I'm like, I don't want you to come back 3 weeks from now and be like, hey, so
I
remember we
don't.
were talking?
Okay, so can I jump in here? I'm gonna jump in here.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this. So a couple of things of my observation from what you're saying, based upon what you're saying alone. I'm gonna say, like, you remember that Tony Braxton song, 7 Whole Days? Without a word from you, I cannot say because I'm not even gonna try to embarrass myself by trying to hum it or sing it or anything. But I think we all know that it was very popular back in the day, 7 whole days. So I would say for one thing, if you're talking to somebody simply on a dating app, I would not block or dismiss somebody for missing talking to you for 4 days because one, you don't know what that person is going through in their professional life, in their work life, with their family, whether because at this point, like, okay, we're saying, over 40, right? So this person might have children in the home still, all right? Okay, that they're,
Hmm.
a lot of parents are still doing, their children are doing virtual learning, and so now parents have got to jump in and be the teacher, got to be the peacemaker, got to be the counselor, got to be all these different things for their children, as well as working full time to maintain the household and all this different stuff. So no, I wouldn't dismiss somebody for not talking to me or
Yeah,
chatting.
that's true.
I wouldn't. This is what I would. I can only speak for myself, but I would not do that because you don't know that person. You don't know if it's early on and you're just chit chatting. They really haven't had a chance to tell you what all they've got on their plate, and we all got
True.
stuff. I understand you got stuff on your plate too, but no, I wouldn't dismiss a person in 4 days. I would give them probably a week and a half to kind of get back with me. And then when they got back with me, I wouldn't ask them, but I think that a man with character that really wants to be with you or to get to know you, I think he would probably explain, oh, yeah, let me just say I apologize. Or he doesn't have to apologize, but he could just simply state, I was away on business or this or that was going on. And he'll let you know. Because all the men that I've really ever cared for in my life, the one thing I see the pattern that is similar in them, whatever their race was or whatever their age bracket was that they were all very clear and intentional in letting me know that they wanted they were serious about me. They cared about me. And if they went missing, like I used to date a guy that was living between here and Kentucky, here in Michigan and also in Kentucky, because what was happening, Ford Motor Company had given him a car dealership. They were in the process, right?
Wow.
And so he spent a lot of time in Kentucky, and I wouldn't see him, and I might not hear from him because he's busy working. Women
Hmm.
talk about they want these six-figure guys. Well, guess what?
They got to
Six-figure
go to work.
guys, they gotta work. They may be working 16 hours a day. You may not see them all the time,
That's true.
but when he was in town, he made sure that he made a date with me. We got together. We spent time out. We spent time at his home. You know what I'm saying? He made sure to make me feel special. So I'm just saying, no, I wouldn't dismiss him for that. The height thing, I think, again, is a personal choice. I can't tell anybody because everybody's got their thing. My mother used to say, so my mom and my dad were happily married. Like I said, unfortunately, my dad passed away kind of early, when I was 19. But my mom said that she never liked short guys. She wanted a tall guy. Well, turns out both my parents were married before each other. They had a marriage before each other before they met, and they met on a blind date. Right, my
Wow.
the woman who is my godmother and my godfather, his sister and my godmother set these two people up. And my mother absolutely did not want to meet my dad on this blind date, but they kept encouraging her. And finally they met. But my dad, I'm trying to get into this height thing. So my mom, who was probably all of about maybe 5'3", 5'2", 5'3", I think. And my father, who was maybe about an inch taller than her at about 5'4", he was a short guy. Okay. But you know what? He became the love of her life, and they had a beautiful a love story, a beautiful marriage. But you have to kind of pick and choose. I mean, if that's a thing for you, because I'm not going to say um, that I necessarily want a guy that's shorter than me either. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I think you have to decide if that's the thing for you, and is going to really turn you off. Because I think you really have to have physical attraction for your mate. I believe that very strongly.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, the thing that I know is that those things like height has nothing to do with the character of a person. So it kind of seems silly to be like, okay, well, but I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like that, and as I said, if that's a thing, like, well, you know what? Some women may not like a bald guy, and other women I meet. I know a couple years back, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, this guy friend of hers, he was bald headed, and at the time when she was, seeing him, I was talking about this guy that I knew from work, and he was available, and but he had a beautiful head of hair, and I was like, I love it, I love this hair that this man has, I just it's so thick and curly, and I could just, and I think she got kind of, I think she thought I was saying it. I felt like because we ended up not being friends anymore after a period of time. I wasn't saying it to rub it in her face, but I feel like if you're my friend as a woman, I should be able to talk to you about this love interest that I have, just like she could talk to me about this guy. He had all these muscles and this and that. He had tattoos this place and that place. I'm here to listen and be your support system, but you can't be mine because my guy happens to have a good head of hair and your guy has no hair. I don't
Right, right.
understand. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Right.
You like a bald guy. I don't know if I'm trying to think if I've ever really. Oh yeah, I did date one bald guy. I dated one bald guy, and he was wonderful, handsome guy. But I don't have a problem if a guy is bald, but I probably do like hair better than a bald guy. I probably do, but what I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna say no to dating a guy that's bald. I'm not gonna do
Right.
that.
Okay. Got
You
you.
know, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, there's a difference between preferences and what are your non-negotiables. So you have to kind of sit down and figure out what are your non-negotiables is what you could probably do. But I don't have a problem with you saying that the guy has to be a certain height. I have no problem with that at all. But I
But he
would
ain't got
say
to be 6 feet. He just got to be taller than 5'6".
gotta be okay. We gotta be taller than 5'6". Okay, but like I said, and the only other thing is that I just would not dismiss a person about the 4 days. Come on now, 4 days. You don't know the guy. You don't know the guy. So
Yeah,
and
I think in my mind though, I'm thinking,
mhm,
okay, well, if we
what
haven't
are you
made a
thinking?
connection, then what am I keeping you in my inbox for? Let me just go ahead and just, I
But
don't know. It's nothing personal. It's just like, all right,
mhm,
well, it's
right.
20 people. If it's not 20 people in there right now, but if it's like 15 to 20 people, because it's a lot of people that are, you got to weed out whether this is a robot or whether this is actually a person. Like some people just say hi, and if they're not talking, I'm
Oh
just like,
yeah.
okay,
I,
well,
I,
I
I
gotta
hate
narrow it down.
Right, I'm with you on that. Now, the
But I
person
got
that
you. 4 days is too quick.
that's I think it's too quick because you don't know what, like I said, you don't know what's going on in this
Anything could
person's
happen. Yeah,
life.
you're right.
In real life, if you met a guy and you knew him, right? You know, maybe somebody you work with or whatever, lived in the neighborhood, whatever. You knew the guy in real life. If you didn't hear from him in 4 days, would you also get rid of him or
See, no,
dismiss
and
him?
that's the
What?
difference. I think that's why dating, the
Mm-mm.
online dating thing hasn't stuck for me. And this pandemic has really hurt people who like to go out and date in person, because if I meet you, like if I'm in person and when we have we've had our interaction and we met in person and I already know you and we're talking, like I've had a chance to experience the chemistry that we might have or the rapport, how our what's the word? I guess the word is chemistry. Like what our
Chemistry,
chemistry
yeah,
is
maybe the
like. And so
chemistry, right?
online, it's like we gotta figure out how we can quickly get to the point where we can develop some chemistry and not just like, hey, nice picture, or hey, how you doing? You know.
Right, right. Well, I think it's a thing. I think it's kind of okay. So when I did, and I haven't done this in years, but when and I've done online dating, I did. You know, and I had some relationships that came out of it, and some of the guys we're still friends to this day. We didn't get married or anything, but we're still friends. So I feel like I don't feel like those things are failed because if I come out of it with a friend, a lifelong friend or a long term friend, I don't feel like it was a failure. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is not going to end in marriage, but you can
True.
make a friend out of it. We had a romantic relationship, and then it became. In fact, now one of my friends is a engineer, electrical engineer down in Georgia, and he's very happy in the relationship that he's currently in. And he's able to kind of. He doesn't really go deep, but he'll say little things about his love interest, and he actually wants to marry this woman now. But we're able to talk, and I feel like that's a good relationship. He's been a very helpful, supportive person in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But what was I was trying to respond to something you said, and now I lost my train of thought. But I think the thing, okay, so with online dating, the thing that I used to see, and I hear you basically saying, is that somebody slides into your inbox or whatever that is, or they say hi, but a guy who doesn't have a lot of social skills or isn't particularly
Mm.
talkative will say hi, how you doing, what's up, or whatever he says, like a greeting, and then he doesn't know how to take it any further. That's also the same guy that's in the bar or at the club or at the mall or in your neighborhood. He says hi, but he doesn't know how to proceed further. He doesn't know how to pursue. He doesn't have the social skills for whatever reason. And I'm gonna say this. I kind of have a problem with people that are adults that don't have a certain basic level of social skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually was in a no, I'm gonna tell you, it's a true story. I was actually in a relationship with one of those people, and what I find is, and I've seen this multiple times, but one I was in a more intimate relationship with. What I find that people that don't have good social skills, they also don't. You be careful when you see a guy. He doesn't have friends. He
Mm.
doesn't have relationships with his family members. He doesn't have friends that he can introduce you to because what you'll become is the guy that doesn't have social skills. You'll become his whole world. You'll become everything to him, and you got to pour into him, and you'll get tired. You'll get tired because
Mm. Yeah, that do seem like it'd be draining.
it's draining. It's like having another child, and it's like, no, no, sir. I'm not here for that. We're here as equal partners pouring into the relationship together if we determine that we're going to have one. But if you don't have no social skills and you don't have no skill sets and you don't have friends that you can communicate with, and everything has to be bounced off of me and everything is about me entertaining you, no, sir.
Yeah, no, no thanks.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
so you've given me another point to consider, you know what I mean, and open my mind a little bit more because, like I said, in this part of my life, I'm learning a lot about myself and I'm learning to
Hmm.
try different stuff. Like, obviously, what I've been doing the past couple of years have not been working. So, you know, that's something to think about, especially the part about the race part. I got to really figure out why I don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, consider it, and there's some, go online. I would say this to consider it from your own aspect. I'm a writer. I love to write. I love to journal. So I would write it down. I wouldn't just only just think about it, but I would make a point to maybe put it in a journal or even on a sheet of paper. Okay, so
Yeah, I
maybe you
do
don't have
journaling too.
yeah, but put it down then because because what happens to me when I write, I don't know about anybody else, but when I write and then I come back to it after I write in a storm, or maybe I write a little bit or whatever, depending on how I am or feel in that mood in that moment. But I'll come back to it and then I'll revisit it maybe a day later, a week later, a month, whenever. But when I revisit it and now I'm looking at it with fresh eyes, it's almost as if somebody else wrote it. And now I
Mm.
can really analyze and be logical, not be in my emotions, but be logical about what did I say here? Why am I not dating outside my race? Why do I want to date outside my race? What is this about? And what are these triggers and what are these points from culturally? I think we're kind of as black females, I really feel like as black women and as black females, we grow up in a culture and a community that teaches us to be this way. That's what I honestly feel. We're
There's
taught
some
to be
truth to
this
that,
way.
yeah.
We're taught to always hold up the black man in our community, which is that's fine to a degree, but not at the expense of my own life and my personal satisfaction.
Hmm.
I'm not going to do that. No ma'am, no
Where
sir.
other women in other cultures, I'm not going to name any cultures or whatever, but other women in
Right.
other cultures are taught to do different things or be a different way.
I'm here to tell you my son was probably he wasn't even in high school. He was in middle school, and when he became a standout, well, he was always a standout student, and I'm not trying to brag or boast, but stating facts, he was a good student, right? And he was on the honor roll, and he was doing these various things and involved in different things in school. And it was so funny to me, like I think it was seventh or eighth grade promotion, getting ready to go into high school, and I had a group of Jewish mothers that came up to me individually and said, are you so and so's mom? Oh, your son's wonderful. And, they introduced me to their daughters. Okay. You get what
Oh,
I'm saying?
wow.
Eighth grade. Now they're already shopping for a husband. Okay. And they know what they want. They want the
Listen.
guy that's smart. They want the guy that's going to be the engineer, the doctor, the lawyer, the Indian chief. Okay. They want
Hmm.
the guy that's the leader, and they're already prefacing this early in life. So we kind of, as communities and cultures, we kind of do things a little differently. Like, so we'll
Yeah.
promote our kids to get their own education, which is fine. But I think that we also have to begin to get back to promoting relationships and families with our daughters and our sons.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like it's like, you don't need a man and you could do this and you could do that. That could lead us into a whole nother conversation because I was about to ask you what you think about Kevin Samuels.
Oh, girl, yes, we're gonna we're gonna get ready to sign off. We're gonna get ready. No, but seriously, because yeah, so we not being funny because this has went over. But I'm gonna say this. Damita, Joe, I have enjoyed you immensely. You lived up to my expectations and then well beyond. You exceeded my expectations because I didn't know, you coming here today. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but you are a delightful, delightful person to
Ditto.
have. Yeah, so we're gonna come back. We're gonna do this again. But we're gonna have to talk about that offline. And I want to thank everybody, all the viewers that came out to watch our live chat and to talk about, as we talked about ready to love, and obviously it took us to dating and beyond. So what we're going to probably do is have to come back, and we're going to have to talk some more, and we want you guys to come in and talk about it too. Thank you, Delightful. She says she loves this conversation. Purple Tube says she's got to go, she's got to fix dinner. I get it, it's getting late, right? I've got to go too. I haven't eaten, so that's why I said I'm not trying to sign off just because you brought that name up, but
Oh no, you're fine.
yeah. But I want to say, so you want to tell our viewers where they can find you again on IG, uh
Yes, so you can
and your
find me on
channel.
yep, you can find me on Instagram at Bydamita Joe, Bydamitajo, and my obviously my YouTube page is Miss Damita Joe. And I also have a show on relationship entertainment television here on YouTube on Wednesdays where I talk about like positive stories about our brothers and sisters, and I showcase a Black entrepreneur every week. And there's a
Okay.
bunch of other good content on that channel as well. So make sure you guys check out Relationship Entertainment Television. And I just want to thank you for extending your platform. I enjoyed this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to be chuckling about it later on tonight to myself. But I just wanted to thank you for inviting me up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming up. I really have enjoyed this. And like I said, we're going to do this again. We don't have a date set, but as soon as I know, you guys will know. I'll post a thumbnail that we're going to go live again. And what I'd like to do is invite those of you out there in the audience to thumbs up this video, like it and share it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And also, that you guys are going to be invited. So we may have, maybe we'll do an open chat, Damita Joe. Would you be okay with that?
Yes. I mean, listen, I love this. This was fun. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we talk about ready to love, but we also got to get more into the real life of our dating as women out here. And this dating thing is not easy. Nobody really has all the answers, but what we can do is come together and have a conversation about it. And you can share what works for you, what's not working for you, and I can do the same. And other women and men can do the same too, so that we can really begin to better understand each other in this dating process.
yeah, I would love to hear the men's point of view.
Well, all right, guys, we're signing off now. Bye, y'all.
Bye.